the #1 ranked South Dakota State Jackrabbits have been battle-tested all year, and last week was no different as they headed to Cedar Rapids, Iowa to take on the Northern Iowa Panthers. It came down to the last play where Hunter Dustman hit a 26-yard field goal as time expired to lift SDSU to a 31-28 win. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome in here on KSDJ Radio, your student home for Jackrabbit Athletics, for our matchup today between the #1 South Dakota State Jackrabbits and the Illinois State Redbirds, a fellow Missouri Valley Football Conference opponent. We are ticking down to time. We will have the national anthem here momentarily. We're glad you're with us. Well, last week, South Dakota State captured at least a share of the Missouri Valley Football Conference title. And today, they have a chance to make it outright. Their win last week tied a school record 9th consecutive win. They sit at 9-1 overall and undefeated in the Missouri Valley. They received the Missouri Valley Football Conference automatic bid into the FCS playoffs, and that marks their 11th straight postseason appearance. And as I said before today, they have a chance to make it outright. We'll go ahead and listen in on the national anthem being performed by the South Dakota State Marching Band, the pride of the Dakotas.
The Army and Air Force ROTC programs. We honor America as our national anthem is performed by the pride of the Dakota's marching band under the direction of Dr. Kevin Kessler.
Was a beautiful rendition of the Star-Spangled Banner by the South Dakota State Marching Band, the pride of the Dakotas, and the flag being presented on the field by the South Dakota State Air Force and Army ROTC. Well, things are ticking down now, down to about 10 minutes till we kick this thing off. Let's go ahead and take a look at what some players did last week against the Northern Iowa Panthers. Well, first off, we'll start off with the offense. They finished with 427 yards on offense. Mark Gronowski threw for 34 times, completed 21 passes. Isaiah Davis had 24 carries for 105 yards and 5 catches for 34 yards. Tucker Kraft on the receiving end had 4 catches for 69 yards, and Jackson Yonke had the same amount of catches, but he had 60 yards. On the defensive side, the defense got to the quarterback, Theo Day, 5 different times. The significant part about that is he had only been sacked 15 times before in the previous 9 games. Jason Freeman had 6 tackles with 1 of those sacks, and Caleb Sanders himself had 3 sacks. And he also became the 4th Jackrabbit to have 20 career sacks. And of course, we can't forget about the special teams. They were a huge part of the win last week. Hunter Dustman was 3 for 3 on field goals. He had his career-long 45-yarder to end the first half. And also, of course, the game-winning 26-yarder with no time left to put the Jackrabbits up on top. Jaden Yonke had 5 punt returns for 78 total yards, and in fact, the last punt return of the game he had put the Jackrabbits into plus territory and set up Hunter Dustman's game-winning field goal. Now looking ahead to this game, as I said before, the Jackrabbits can make some history today. Not only can they clinch an outright Missouri Valley Football Conference title, they can set a program record for consecutive wins. They, as I said, they hit their 9th straight last week. That tied the streaks that was set in 1928, and then again, it happened again in 1950 with the last 3 games in 1951 with the first 6. Also, SDSU can run the table in Missouri Valley Football Conference play for the first time in program history. They finished 7-1 in 2009 and 2016 in the Valley, but they have never beat all of their Valley opponents. SDSU can reach 10 wins in regular season play today. They've reached 10 wins twice in 2017 and 2021 with 11 wins, but they needed multiple wins in the playoffs to do so. And as I said before, the all-important Missouri Valley Football Conference title is up for grabs today for the yellow and blue. The Jackrabbits are number 1 in the FCS poll for the 4th straight week, and they have the automatic bid into the FCS playoffs, which is going to be their 12th appearance in the Division I era, which started circa 2004. The Redbirds are 5-4, 3-3 in league play. They saw their playoff chances dwindle last week with the 19-17 loss to Youngstown State. And this will be the 11th matchup between SDSU and Illinois State. They last met in 2019. The Redbirds won 27-18 right here in Brookings. They forced 4 straight second half possessions. They scored on 4 straight second half possessions and forced 3 turnovers in the last 17 minutes. So you can hear in the background, things are getting ready. And the Pride of the Dakotas with their instruments up to their mouths. Here on the senior day, a little bit of a chilly senior day. We'll get to that in just a moment. But for now, here come the Jackrabbits coming from left to right today. They'll be wearing their all-blue uniforms with their white helmets, donated by the Jackrabbits Former Players Association. As I said, blue jerseys, blue pants with the yellow trim and white numerals. It is a little bit chilly today. SDSU has averaged 17,041 fans so far in the 5 home games this year, and we're about 5 minutes away from kickoff here, and you can tell that the crowd is significantly less. But those that came out of here really prove that they love the yellow and blue, and they will go for it. The high today is supposed to be 25 degrees. Let's take a look at the scouting report for Illinois State. Their quarterback, Zach Anixtad, a former Minnesota Golden Gopher. The last time he played, he completed he's completed 63% of his passes for 1,600, almost 1,700 yards and 11 touchdowns. He did not play last week due to a shoulder injury, so stepping in his place was the backup, Tommy Rittenhouse. He started last week, rushed for 81 yards and 2 touchdowns. He passed for 7. He passed for 7 completions for 103 yards. Not a bad performance for him, but of course the Redbirds did lose 19-17 to Youngstown State. In terms of the defense, the Redbirds play a 3-4, anchored by nose tackle Noah Hickox, defensive end Jason Lewin, and linebackers Zeke Vandenberg and Kenton Wilhoit. Vandenberg actually leads the Missouri Valley Football Conference with 7.5 sacks. It's time now to take a look at the starters for both teams, starting with the SDSU's offense. Starting under center, Mark Gronowski. Running back, Isaiah Davis. Taking a look at the tight ends, Tucker Kraft and Zach Hines. The wide receivers, Jaden Yonke, Jackson Yonke, and the offensive lineman going from left to right goes like this. Left tackle, Garrett Greenfield. Left guard, Mason McCormick. Center, Gus Miller. Right guard, Evan Bernston. And right tackle, John O'Brien. The aforementioned Redbirds defense looks like this. Jason Lewin on the left end. Noah Hitcox right in the middle at nose tackle. And Braden Deming on the defensive end on the right side. Jeremiah Jordan, the Sam linebacker. Kenton Wilhoit, the Mike linebacker. Lavoy Dante McCoy will be the Will linebacker. And the Jack linebacker will be Zeke Vandenberg. Looking at the secondary, and the left cornerback, Frankie West, the strong safety, Keandre Jackson, the free safety, Dylan Gerhart, and a cornerback, DeAndre Lamont. Looking at the Illinois State offense now, the aforementioned, I do believe that Zach Anixtad will be good to go. Wenkers Wright will be the running back with Brock Anixtad, a relative of Zach Anixtad. I do believe that would probably be his brother. Wide receiver Daniel Sobkowitz and Jalen Carr to round out the wide receiving core. And the tight end going to be Tanner Talla. And going from left to right for the offensive line, Hunter Zambrano, Kobe Rios, Drew Bones at center, Zach Mueller at right guard, and Peyton Ash for right tackle. Defensive end for the South Dakota State Jackrabbits, the left D end, Reese Winkleman. Nose tackle, Ryan Van Marl. D tackle, Caleb Sanders. D end on the right side, Cade Trevere. The Sam linebacker, Isaiah Stahlberg. Mike linebacker, Savion Williams, and the Will linebacker is Jason Freeman. The cornerback, Malik Lofton. The strong safety is Chase Norblade. The free safety is Cale Reeder, and the right cornerback is Dyshawn Gales. Illinois State is going to have kicker Ian Wagner do the kicking duties. Jack Takarian is going to be the punter. Holding down snaps, Joey Malinowski. The holder will be Brock Anixtad. And the kick returns will be handled by Frankie West. And the punt returns by Brock Anixtad. SDSU's specialists look like this. Hunter Dustman, kicking and punting. Snaps being held down by Jaden Mueller. Holding things down is going to be Keaton Heide. And the kick returners will be Jaden Yonke and Angel Johnson, with Jaden Yonke also having punt duties. We're about 1 minute away here from kickoff as the Pride of the Dakotas goes up to their place. We'll go ahead and take a 30-second break here on KSDJ. When we come back, we will have action. Number 1 ranked Jackrabbits taking on Missouri Valley Football Conference foe, the Illinois State Redbirds. Back right after this.
I spent a lot of time in the garage, but even more time in the rain and mud. In '95, I helped tow your moving trailer. And in '09, it was sparks from me, your chains, dragging behind your truck that accidentally started a wildfire.
Spark a change, not a wildfire. Visit SmokeyBear.com, brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Not top-ranked South Dakota State taking on Illinois State here today for Senior Day. A little bit of an overcast day. A high supposed to be about 25. The South Dakota State Jackrabbits getting ready to receive it from my right as we're looking down from the press box. The Illinois State Redbirds kicking it off in their away uniforms, all white with black trim and red numerals, and the kick is up and away into the end zone. Going to be fair caught by Jaden Yonke, even though it was in the end zone. So It will be a touchback, and we will start things off.
Following the touchdown.
Glad to have you along here with us on KSDJ Radio. Of course, your student home for Jackrabbit Athletics. We will also be keeping an eye on scores from around the Missouri Valley Football Conference, as well as the Jackrabbit volleyball team, who is taking on the Roos down in Kansas City. But first off, first play from scrimmage. Gronowski takes the snap, looking towards his right. He sends it, gives it over to Tucker Kraft, a senior from Sioux Falls. And get a pretty decent gain there, and that'll set up a 2nd and 4 after the 6-yard pass coming from Gronowski to get things started. The Jackrabbits moving from right to left here at Dana J. Dykhouse Stadium. Again, as I said, a little bit chilly. It's not actually too bad once you get used to it. A back in the backfield right behind him. Receiver off towards the left, a clap, and then Gronowski makes some adjustments, takes a snap. Hand off straight to Davis. He's going to run right into the line. Get a decent gain on that one, probably about 2 or 3 more yards. And that'll set up a 3rd and 2. 3rd down and 2 yards to go for the Jackrabbit offense. The Jackrabbits, as I mentioned, 9-1 on the year, have a chance to get 10 wins in the regular season for the first time in program history, and to go undefeated in Missouri Valley Football Conference play. Snap by Gronowski, handoff to his right. Davis trying to find a hole. He can't get past the first down marker, I do believe. Might have been stopped right at the line of scrimmage. Did get a gain, probably about 1.5 yards, so it'll set up 4th and inches, really. And so the Jackrabbits will go ahead and go for it. The crowd coming a little bit to volume. The offense signaling for them to go quiet, to sneak up the middle, and it will be good for a 1st down. About 13 minutes left to go in the first quarter. The clock now running after the run. It'll be 1st and 10 on their own 36-yard line. Gronowski from Naperville, Illinois, the 6'3", 220-pound sophomore quarterback, earned Missouri Valley Football Conference Offensive Player of the Year in his first year. Claps once, a motion coming across. He'll give it to Kraft. He has a little bit of grass to work with. Comes around, and he's brought down right beyond the 40-yard line. It's going to be marked at the 43. So they'll set up a 2nd and 3 now. The clock ticks down near to 12 minutes left in the first quarter. A back to his left, 2 receivers off to his right. Gronowski claps once, claps again, takes snap, handoff to Davis. Had a little bit of a hole. It closed up pretty fast as he gets down to about the 46. The 46, and that will be enough for a 1st down. The chain gang will move it. They hesitated there for a little bit, waiting for an official word, but the Jackrabbits moving pretty smoothly down the field so far in this game. Backs off to either side of him now. Gronowski back in the shotgun. Takes a snap. Hand off to Yonke. He reverses the other way after the backfield gets blown up by the Redbird defense. It's going to be a loss of about 4. Actually, they'll call that 3, so that'll be a 2nd and 13 on their own 43 after that play design really kind of got blown up by the front line of the Redbirds defense. Again, that being Jason Lewin, the senior from Yorkville, Illinois. Noah Hickox, a senior from Rockford, Illinois. And this is the outlier, Braden Deming from Billings, Montana. So 2 guys from Illinois up there. Fake handoff, play action, gets it out to Yankee. Jaden Yankee trying to find a way to get past, and he can't get past that initial line of which he gained. He couldn't evade those 2 defenders, but does bring it up and get a pretty decent gain on that one. It'll set up a 3rd and 4. With about 10.5 minutes left to play in the opening frame. The huddle breaks, and Davis will be standing to the right side of Gronowski. Out towards the left is going to be Yankee as well as Bauer. Handoff, and he gets blown up. Coming off of the edge. It's going to be Zeke Vandenberg. As I mentioned before, he has the Missouri Valley Conference lead with 7.5 sacks, make that 8.5 sacks now as he came off the edge, firing off the edge, and hit Gronowski about as hard as I've seen Gronowski get hit all season long. So that'll set up a 4th and 11. Back to punt is going to be Hunter Dustman. High, decent spiraling punt, a fair catch called. And that's going to be caught right at the 14-yard line. So the first drive does not go as planned for the Jackrabbits, but we'll step aside here as there's a timeout on the field on KSDJ. Still 0-0, 9:19 left to go in the first quarter. We'll be back right after this.
Walking into the building for the first time after the shooting, it was crippling, but it had to be preserved.
In response to the Pulse nightclub shooting that affected the LGBTQ community, Barbara Poma, owner of Pulse, founded the One Pulse Foundation to honor Pulse victims and survivors.
If you're an ally of this community, speak out. There are more of us together than apart. It is the power of love in its rawest form.
Join the fight for LGBTQ acceptance. Learn how at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
Welcome back here to Dana J. Dykhouse Stadium. Currently 0-0 here in the first frame. The South Dakota State Jackrabbits get forced to punt off of a really just Zeke Vandenberg coming off of the edge, blowing up Mark Gronowski on what we thought was going to be a pretty decent pass. The thing is, he took the snap and just looked to his left. He was not looking to his right at all, and that's exactly where Zeke Vandenberg was, and came screaming off the edge, blew that up because Gronowski was expecting to have something open to his left side. Anyway, about 9:19 left to go in the first quarter. Going to go ahead and welcome in my co-star today, Dalton Cherry. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, just enjoying the game. So hopefully the Jacks can win this game. So
yeah, there's not a lot to not enjoy about watching South Dakota State play. As I've been mentioning before, I have a chance to reach 10 wins in the regular season for the first time in program history. Going to be a little pitch out to Winker's right, the redshirt freshman from Floyd's Knobs, Indiana. Some of these town names, man, they're really interesting.
very small.
Very small towns, yeah. 2nd and 6 now after the 4-yard gain on the first down pitch. The Redbirds defense setting up. Going from left to right now. The Redbirds, 2 receivers off to each side. Right behind Annexstad. Excuse me, that's going to be Rittenhouse. Rittenhouse did get the start today as Annexstad's might still be a little bit shaken up with his shoulder injury he sustained a couple of weeks ago, but the pass will be enough for a first down. They'll mark it down at the 25, which will get them to exactly where they would have gotten if the punt had gone into the end zone for a touchback. 8.5 minutes left to go in the first. 1st and 10 on their own 25. Huddle breaks. right off to Rittenhouse's right side. Now transitions to the left. Receivers off to each side. Another handoff to right, straight up the middle. Minimal gain, maybe a yard, and that'll set up about 2nd and 9 at the 26. So as I mentioned before, Zach Anixtad, the junior from Northland, Minnesota, does not get the start today. It will be Tommy Rittenhouse, the redshirt freshman from Geneva, Illinois. He did not have a bad outing last week, but they did lose 19-17. Of course, Anixtad nursing that shoulder injury. A throw out to the left, right, picks it up, tries to turn it upfield, can't get past, very much past the line of scrimmage, maybe a gain of 2 yards, so that'll set up about a 3rd and 7 on their own 28, and the crowd gets loud here at the Dyke House.
You know what I've noticed? That the student section's not filled, so.
I mean, I don't necessarily blame them.
No,
because it's a little bit cold out there.
It's a little bit chilly today.
It's a little bit chilly out there. Overcast as well. As Rittenhouse claps, moving towards his right, he had Winkleman and Sanders all up in his face. The pass is going to be complete, however, for a pretty decent gain, but not going to be enough for a first down. That'll get down to the 33-yard line, and the punt team will come out for the Redbirds, as they do not deem this 4th-down territory. Neither would I, to be honest, so they're making the good call here. 4th and 2. Back to punt, Jack Takarian, the sophomore from Franklin, Wisconsin. Yankee back to receive a short punt that'll go almost straight out of bounds. Definitely not what Takarian wanted to see.
No. Nope.
So that'll set up the Jackrabbits with pretty favorable field position here in this one. A timeout called on the field. So we're going to go ahead and step aside here on KSDJ Radio. Glad you're with us. 6:06 left to go in the first. Still 0-0. We'll be back right after this.
Accidents happen far too often and never at a convenient time. That's why Dave's Collision Repair Center is here to help. Their highly trained staff will help you by working with both you and the insurance company handling the claim. The staff at Dave's Collision takes pride in returning your vehicle to you in a timely manner and looking as good as it did before the accident. You'll find them at 1019 Main Avenue South or online at davescollision.com.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Well, this is Military Appreciation Game as well as Senior Day here in Brookings, as yesterday was Veterans Day also. My mom's birthday, and that's how I always remember it's Veterans Day, because it's my mom's birthday, so I had to throw that in there.
Yeah, that's
I have no idea if she's listening, but I had to throw that in there.
At least you don't forget, like some people.
Yep, exactly. Well, thank you to all the veterans that have served, and obviously those that have given their lives and everything like that. 1st and 10, the Jackrabbits setting up. The pocket collapsing. Gradowski rolling out to his left, has to kind of throw it away, and it gets picked off. Man, that was just a bad sequence for the Jackrabbits.
Yeah, man. If you're rushed like that and come on the edge,
Kenton Wilhoit, I do believe that is, that got the pick on the near sideline. The defense is going to be right back out there. Gronowski getting rushed out towards the left, having to do something with the ball. I do see the replay official out on the field. I do believe that it's going to be a booth-initiated review because it's a turnover. Well, she comes off the field and nothing will change. So the offense for the Redbirds back out there again. Rittenhouse in the gun. Takes a snap handoff, a fake handoff towards his right, now moving out to his left, and he will get dropped for about a 2-yard loss. That defense of the Jackrabbits stepping up when they need to. Kale Reeder getting the stop. So that'll be a 2nd and 11. Now on their own 47-yard line. Bunch formation on the right side of the line. Now a motion coming from left to right, setting up. Now Rittenhouse takes a snap and gets the pass. He makes a man miss. It's going to be Daniel Sobkowitz from Arlington Heights, Illinois. It's a pretty good gain. Gets closer to the first down marker. That'll set up at the 44-yard line of the Jackrabbits as the Redbirds move into plus territory. 3rd and 2. The down and distance as the huddle breaks. 2 receivers off towards the right. Going to be Annexstad and Sobkowitz. Handoff to right, up the middle. That front line of the Jackrabbits just not letting him go anywhere. Ryan Van Marl, Caleb Sanders, the likes of Cade Trevere and Reese Winkleman not letting him go anywhere. No gain on the play, still going to be 2 yards to go. 4th and 2 this time after the loss of downs. Setting up at their own 44, and some personnel switching coming out, and the punt team will be on their way out. Jack Takarian going to try his 2nd punt of the day after the last one did not go as planned for him. That's a pretty good punt. It's going to bounce, and it will be downed right at the 1-yard line.
It's a heck of a punt.
But they're going to, I do believe, say that it did go into the end zone. Or are they going to mark it at the 1?
I think they're going to mark it at the 1.
Nope, they are indeed going to bring it out to the 20, so it will be a touchback. A huge break for the Jackrabbits.
Yes.
And again, we'll step aside here on KSDJ. Glad you're with us. 3:38 left to go in the first. 0-0 still the score. We'll be back right after this.
This portion of KSDJ 90.7's broadcast is brought to you by Guadalajara's. Located at 1715 6th Street in the Village Square Mall, Guadalajara's specializes in authentic Mexican cuisine. Guadalajara's opens at 11 a.m. every day and closes at 10 p.m. Monday through Thursday, at 10:45 p.m. on Fridays and Saturdays, and at 9:30 p.m. on Sundays. Weekly margarita specials are offered Monday through Wednesday. Guadalajara's, a proud sponsor of KSDJ 90.7.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
So far, really a lackluster performance coming from the Jackrabbit offense.
Yeah.
Getting forced to punt off of a lapse of the offensive line with Vandenberg coming around the edge, blowing up Mark Gronowski. And then in the first play of the ensuing offensive drive, Gronowski throws a pick after being flushed out of the pocket.
Yeah.
Now they're set up on their own 20-yard line. Let's see if they can get things straightened out here in their third drive of the game already. 3:35 left to go in the first half. A quick handoff to Davis, not going to go anywhere. Okay, way to prove me wrong. You just get 1 yard, but, I mean, that's virtually not anywhere.
No.
2nd and 9 on their own 21 now. It's the Jackrabbits in their all-blue uniforms. One thing that I love about this college, being here for just a couple of months, the uniforms, man. Yellow and blue just is meant to go together.
It is.
A lot better than green and gold. Hand off to Davis, and he gets wrapped up in the backfield. The crowd that is here, not liking that so much. So decent loss. It's going to set up a 3rd and 12 on their own 18. As the offensive woes continue for this Jackrabbit team. Number 1 in the nation for the 4th week in a row. I don't know about you, but I've definitely been keeping up with Sacramento State. They're the number 2 team. Is it possible that they could make a leap over the Jackrabbits?
I think so. I mean, Sacramento State, you know, they're the team, but I've been looking at Jackson State. You got Travis Hunter. That dude, you can put him on the field, defensive back, corner, wide receiver. He'll basically just run. I like Jackson State, but that's just me.
That's just you. Well, Gronowski gets flushed out of the pocket again, this time making the conscious decision to throw it further out of bounds as it hit over the whole entire Jackrabbit sideline. So backed up to near their own end zone is going to be Hunter Dustman as he's out to punt. He gets blocked, and the Redbirds will scoop it up and in for a touchdown. This Jackrabbit team does not look like they're having it today.
I do not know what happened. I've only been here for about 20 minutes, but I can tell you that something's wrong with this offense. It's just, I don't know if it's like a slow start, they're getting into it, or what, but...
Well, Illinois State puts 6 up on the board. Dylan Gerhardt gets the block. Inside, Dabney scoops it up for the score. The extra point is true. And the Redbirds lead it 7-0. Again, the offense just
very slow.
Not having a day today. I do want to point out here on the live stats, it says that Illinois State had a 100-yard touchdown. Obviously, that's not what happened, but yours says 0-yard touchdown, huh?
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's really interesting.
Kind of how the basketball games at 81 and the
Yeah. The other day with the score differential. Yeah. Well, the clock being reset to $1:40 left to go in the first quarter. Illinois State leads it 7-0 over South Dakota State, getting ready to kick it off for the second time today after the opening kickoff, as this is the first time anybody's scored. Kicking from left to right is going to be Ian Wagner from Sierra Vista, Arizona. Fair catch called and is brought down at the 10-yard line. So the Jackrabbits get another chance at it, this time backed up deep into their own territory once again. And Illinois State coming out here playing with some fire because it really is a must-win game for them.
Basically their season.
It basically is their season. They're 5-4, 3-3 in Missouri Valley Football Conference. And last week, their loss against Youngstown State sure didn't help anything. They lost to North Dakota, which is currently 3rd in the Valley. so that didn't help anything. There is a chance they can make it into the playoffs, but a loss here today would spell disaster for them. It's a handoff given to Davis. He tries to make a couple players miss. He does get a little bit of a gain. That's going to be 3-yard gain, maybe 2. It's going to be a 2nd and 7 on their own 28 now. And one thing that I've noticed about this offense, they really just can't get the run game established like they do. Their offense mainly does go through the backs of Davis and Johnson. And if you need to, you can have Gradowski sling it. But they just cannot get things to go. That defensive line is just tearing up the 605 Hogs right now as another loss on the play. Going to put them back to a 3rd and 9 situation now. Those 3 men up front, Jason Lewin, Noah Hitcox, and Braden Deming, are just absolutely blowing up the offensive line of Greenfield, McCormick, Miller, Bernston, and O'Brien. Ticking under half a minute left to go in the first. 7-0, Illinois State leads it. 2 receivers to each side of motion coming from Hines, now shadowing the right side of the line. Gradowski having a lot of time this time. He steps up, and finally the pocket does collapse. He gets it off to Davis, who tries to make a man miss down near the 40-yard line. Gets pushed out of bounds at the 39. And that will be a first down for the Jackrabbits, so maybe they can use a little bit of that momentum heading into the second quarter as the clock ticks down. And the Jackrabbits with no urgency to try to get it done, mainly saying, let's get this thing over with and let's move on and turn a page in the second quarter. And hopefully that's what they do. 7-0 at the end of 1. We'll go ahead and step aside here on KSDJ, and when we come back, second quarter action from Dana J. Dykhouse Stadium. You're listening to Jackrabbit Football on your student home for Jackrabbit Athletics.
This portion of KSDJ 90.7's broadcast is brought to you by State University Theater at SDSU. State University Theater will show the dramatic comedy She Appeals Monsters as part of their 2022-23 season, with shows November 17th through the 20th at the Oscar Larson Theater. Showtimes are 7:30 p.m. with a 2 p.m. matinee on November 20th. Tickets are available at sdsutheater.org.
Here's a fun fact for you. The average chameleon can point their eyes in 2 different directions. On the other hand, the average human can't. So unless you're a chameleon, there's absolutely no way you can focus on texting and driving at the same time. So don't do it, unless you're a chameleon.
Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
I spent a lot of time in the garage, but even more time in the rain and mud. In '95, I helped tow your moving trailer. And in '09, it was sparks from me, your chains, dragging behind your truck that accidentally started a wildfire.
Spark a change, not a wildfire. Visit SmokeyBear.com, brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Walking into the building for the first time after the shooting, it was crippling, but it had to be preserved.
In response to the Pulse nightclub shooting that affected the LGBTQ community, Barbara Poma, owner of Pulse, founded the One Pulse Foundation to honor Pulse victims and survivors.
If you're an ally of this community, speak out. There are more of us together than apart. It is the power of love in its rawest form.
Join the fight for LGBTQ acceptance. Learn how at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
Well, really a lackluster first quarter coming from the Jackrabbits. 7-0, they trail it. Headed into the second quarter, a lot of offensive woes. They just can't get anything going. Anything you want to add to that?
No. I agree with you because the offense it's kind of a slow start, but we'll see what halftime can bring. So.
Yeah, exactly. And now the Jackrabbits still on offense now, getting started here in the second quarter, backed up on their own 39, although they were backed up quite a bit more. They have gained a lot of yards and seem to be finding a little bit of success. Snap to Gronowski, play action, stepping back, looks downfield, he chucks it, has Yonke, he catches it, a huge gain down to the 10-yard line, and now the Jackrabbits have some life.
Here we go.
Maybe it's just they needed it to be the second quarter.
Yes.
That's all it was. The clock turns to the second quarter. First play out of it, a huge gain down the field. An excellent play coming from Gronowski. Maybe they don't need to just be running the ball. Maybe they do need to be throwing it a little bit. Even though the 605 Hogs can't seem to be able to stop that line, but maybe they've seemed to found a weakness. Gronowski standing in the gun. Davis right behind him. Yonke right beside him. Handoff to Davis. There's a little bit of a hole. He can't make a man miss. He does actually make him miss. He gets it down to the 6-yard line on the near side. A little bit of pushing and shoving as well after he was on the ground. The Illinois State defense obviously not happy that they got that huge gain on him after they were controlling the game for the most part.
Yeah.
That'll set up a 2nd and goal now for the Jackrabbits, deep into Redbird territory. That play officially, by the way, 51 yards from Gronowski to Yonke. Some motion coming in, a bunch formation now right at the line, and that's going to hand off to Davis. As again, the defensive line pushes him back. Not much doing there. So now that'll set up a 3rd down after no gain. Gronowski so far 5 for 7 on passing with that huge completion, 85 yards now, but Davis has had 7 touches and only 13 yards, averaging only 1.9 yards per carry. 3 receivers off towards the left. Gronowski claps. Rolling out to the left. The pocket collapses again. He steps up and he gets rid of it. That was a dangerous throw. He threw it straight to Jeremiah Jordan, who just thankfully batted it down because he couldn't think quickly enough to just grab it and run with it.
That was going to be 6.
Oof. So now that'll set up a 4th down and the field goal unit coming out. The Jackrabbits just going to settle for what points they can get, not knowing if that huge play downfield was just perhaps a fluke. So Heidi out to hold. Snap from Mueller. The kick from Dustman is true. So the Jackrabbits get on the board 7-3 with 12 minutes and 40 seconds left to go in the first half. Step aside here on KSDJ. Glad you're here with us on this brisk but beautiful Saturday for college football. We'll be back right after this.
Accidents happen far too often and never at a convenient time. That's why Dave's Collision Repair Center is here to help. Their highly trained staff will help you by working with both you and the insurance company handling the claim. The staff at Dave's Collision takes pride in returning your vehicle to you in a timely manner and looking as good as it did before the accident. You'll find them at 1019 Main Avenue South or online at davescollision.com.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
This portion of KSDJ 90.7's broadcast is brought to you by Guadalajaras. Located at 1715 6th Street in the Village Square Mall, Guadalajaras specializes in authentic Mexican cuisine. Guadalajaras opens at 11 a.m. every day and closes at 10 p.m. Monday through Thursday, at 10:45 p.m. on Fridays and Saturdays, and at 9:30 p.m. on Sundays. weekly margarita specials are offered Monday through Wednesday. Guadalajara's, a proud sponsor of KSDJ 90.7.
You know, we were just talking on the break, and it is a little bit chilly out there, but definitely not the worst situation that I've done a game in so far.
Nope.
Scaffolding, 20 degree below zero weather.
Minus 20 with scaffolding. It's pretty cold.
That sounds like a good time, doesn't it?
Oh, it sounds like a great time.
It sounds like a great time. 7-3, here we are in the second quarter. 12-40, glad you're with us here. We're live at Dana J. Dykhouse Stadium. Heard on KSDJ in Brookings and all around the world on KSDJradio.com. The kick received at the 1 yard line, now coming out towards the right. Has a lot of real estate. He turns it upfield and finally gets brought down after passing the 45. Again, a lot of just lapses in fundamental things. You know, you can't let a kick return be brought back that far by Brock Annigstad if you're trying to stay in this game, already down 7-3, and being that close to the end zone and just settling for a field goal.
Yeah.
Now it does look like there's a player down on the field for Illinois State. It's going to be Jalen Carr, who is on the receiving team, the receiving squad for the Illinois State Redbirds. One thing I can compliment about this Illinois State team, they got the logo right.
Yes.
That's a pretty good logo. And you know, you can hardly go wrong with red and white.
No.
You knowing that being from Arkansas.
Oh yeah.
Red and white. That's how you do it down there, huh?
I mean, they just lost to LSU 13-10. So I literally thought that LSU was just gonna annihilate the Hogs, but.
Yeah, well, here, let's get a quick update from NDSU versus Southern Illinois in the third quarter. About 11 and a half minutes left to go in that third quarter. 7-3, so NDSU definitely not having the best of seasons so far this year. The Jackrabbits, undeniably the most talented team in the Missouri Valley this year, but can they complete it and get the sole possession of the Missouri Valley Football Conference title? Rittenhouse back, the pocket collapses, almost gets brought down by D lineman, but Max Balloon can't quite get to it. The sophomore from Redfield, South Dakota, another great mascot, by the way, Redfield, the Pheasants.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you'd think that more schools here in South Dakota would have the pheasant as a mascot.
The state bird.
But that's the only one. You know, I saw something really funny, or overheard something really funny. Somebody said, you know, I think we're the only state that hunts our state animal. Our state bird, I mean.
That's pretty funny.
You know, I'm sitting here like, yeah, I think you're right. Rittenhouse in the gun right behind him. Play action. Keeper coming off to the left side, gets past the 50 and runs straight out of bounds. Right into the loving arms of Kevin Brenner.
I'm not going to lie, that fooled me.
That fooled you too?
That fooled me, yeah.
That happens sometimes. It happens to camera operators too.
Oh, yeah.
That's how you know you run a good fake.
Oh, yeah, that's when you know you want to.
When you look back at the highlight of it and you can't even see it because the cameraman's following the running back, and it's a highlight in and of itself.
Oh, yeah.
2nd and 4 on the Jackrabbit 46. Huge line set up. Rittenhouse dancing around in the pocket, coming out towards the right. Winkleman can't quite get to it. He'll throw it away. Good defensive stop by the Jackrabbits, being able to blow the pocket up and really negate any chance for him to throw the ball. So that'll set up a 3rd down, 3rd and 4 to be exact, on the Jackrabbit 46. The defense signaling for the crowd that is here to get loud. So is the sideline. working with minimal equipment here, so you can't really hear the crowd anymore. But trust me, they are there. Rittenhouse, quick pass, and that's going to be broken up. A huge play coming from Savion Williamson.
Wow.
No flag is on the ground.
I'm surprised by that.
And that'll force a 4th down. The Jackrabbits get a big stop here in the second quarter. Man, he just blew that play up.
Mm-hmm.
He blew it up. It looked like the receiver had caught it, but he just came in there, hit him so hard, basically lifted him up off the ground as the punt goes away, high into the air. Again, not a good punt coming from Takarian. And that'll set up the Jackrabbits with about as good field position as they could get out of that situation. So we'll go ahead and step aside here on KSDJ. 10:55 left to go in the second. 7-3, the Jacks trail. Look to get things rolling here on their second drive of the second quarter. Again, we'll be back. Right.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
This portion of KSDJ 90.7's broadcast is brought to you by State University Theater at SDSU. State University Theater will show the dramatic comedy She Appeals Monsters as part of their 2022-23 season, with shows November 17th through the 20th at the Oscar Larson Theater. Showtimes are 7:30 p.m. with a 2 p.m. matinee on November 20th. Tickets are available at sdsutheater.org.
Here's a fun fact for you. The average chameleon can point their eyes in 2 different directions. On the other hand, the average human can't. So unless you're a chameleon, there's absolutely no way you can focus on texting and driving at the same time. So don't do it, unless you're a chameleon.
Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
The Jags will have a 1st and 10 on their own 21-yard line after the punt. And a huge stop from Savion Williams and the Jackrabbit defense. Davis barreling his way through, was just like this close. I know you can't see it, but you can just imagine about what I'm doing. This close to breaking that one free. 2nd and 4 now after the 6-yard gain from Davis so far. Has waiting for it to update because I know he don't have 13 yards. Maybe he do.
Maybe he do.
I don't know. 8 carries for 13 yards is what the live stats say. Play action from Gronowski, kicks it out to Yonke. He's in a foot race and finally gets brought down by Illinois State's. Oh boy. Lavoy Deontay McCoy. Lavoy?
Lavoy.
I think. That looks like a French name to me. Lavoy.
I'll just. Oh.
Digging down to under 10 minutes left now. Snap by Gronowski. Play action. Stepping back. Pocket forms around him. Deep down the field again. Has Yonke! And it gets pushed away. You're going to call that incomplete. Man, Yonke, he's showing out today on senior day.
He is showing out.
He is showing out today. Definitely, that could have been a huge completion. He just couldn't hold on to it right at the last second. And, man, if they would have gotten that one would have been a touchdown instead of just a huge gain because he was catching it at the 5-yard line. And in stride, too. So that'll set up a 2nd and 10 after the near huge play. 2 receivers off to the left now, motion across. Hand off to Davis, going to go kind of up the middle, off towards the right side for a few yard gain. It's going to set up a 3rd down and 6 on their own 47. The Jackrabbits setting up again. This time both Yankee brothers, Jaden and Jackson on the right side. Now a motion from 2 tight ends coming from the left side of the line to the right. Now a keeper by Gronowski going up the middle and gets enough for a 1st down and a little bit more past the 45-yard line. And the Jackrabbits seem to be finding a way to move the ball now, finally here in this 2nd quarter.
Like I said, 2nd half.
A lot of Jacks fans looking for them to hit their stride in the 2nd half as well, as this time is dwindling down. 8.5 minutes left to go in the 1st half. 3 receivers off to the right, 2 to the left. Gronowski takes a snap, and again getting flushed out of the pocket. He decides to slide through, jumping to avoid any contact and a flag. Do believe that was Vandenberg. So no gain on the play, going to be 2nd and 10. Just under 8 minutes left to go in the 2nd quarter. Snap by Gronowski. Dumps it off to Kraft. Finds a way to fight for a few extra yards. Will be a 3rd down and a decent amount to go, but definitely a great completion after compared to what would have happened if Gronowski would have held on to that ball for like 0.1 seconds longer. 3rd and 6 now at the Redbird 40-yard line. Gronowski 7 for 11, 105 passing yards now, has 1 interception. He's in the gun with Johnson off to his left. Play action, keeper, runs up the middle, has a seam, makes it past the 30, keeps fighting, and down to the 30. Excuse me, the 26. Man, he's fired up. He's doing everything he can.
Yeah, I kind of like how Gronowski kind of threw the defensive line off guard there. So
that was obviously a designed quarterback run, but he had the essence of a real ball carrier there, fighting for those extra yards and just having to finally be brought down with the Redbird on the ground, grabbing his ankle. Johnson off to his right now, play action again, looking downfield, rushing out towards the left. He has on the comeback a receiver. And that is going to be completed down at the 10-yard line. It's going to be Jackson Yankee. Great completion. Gronowski, pinpoint accuracy on the run as well to get it right where Yankee needed it. So the Jackrabbits enter into the red zone for the 2nd time today. First one off of the explosive 51-yard connection from Gronowski to Jaden Yankee. Motion coming across from the aforementioned Yankee, and now another designed keeper by Gronowski. He runs through, lowers his head, and tries to fight for the extra yards. He gets a few on the play. That now sets up a 2nd and 8. Well, 2nd and goal, I should say. So there is 8 yards to go. Five and a half minutes left to go in the first half. Gronowski in shotgun. Has a receiver off to the right. Now coming closer to the line. Hand off to Davis. Tries to push his way through. A flag going to be thrown right into the middle of that whole mess. Let's wait to see what the call is going to be here. As two of the referees get together. It's going to be defensive holding. So that'll help out the Jackrabbits. Not immensely, but it will help them out. That'll get it down to about the 1 yard line, maybe the 1.5. It's hard to see from the angle here. We're looking from left to right, and that can get trippy there. It's almost like an optical illusion sometimes.
It is almost like an optical illusion.
The tip's down to under 5 minutes in the second quarter. Glad you're with us here on KSDJ. Make sure to stick around for the halftime show. We'll take a look around the Missouri Valley, as well as the world of college football. Take a look at some stats. 2. Gronowski claps once, claps twice. Handoff Davis right into a whole horde of football players. A whole pile that the referees have to unravel. And it looks like he will be short. So some personnel changes coming in. The two Yankee brothers now, as the Jackrabbits will have a second down and short to go on the 1 yard line. Yankees off to either side. Motion coming across. As Gronowski kept it, he lost the football. I thought a whistle blew before the football went down.
Yeah.
I do believe that is going to be the call. So it will be ruled a sack, even though Gronowski did not go on the ground. The football did go on the ground, however. So it's going to be a 3rd and goal now on the 6 yard line, as that'll back them up quite a lot. The motion from Yankee coming from right to left on that one kind of was designed to throw off the defense, but they knew right away, they knew Gronowski was going to keep it. As South Dakota State's going to take a timeout, as we will as well. 3rd and goal on the 6 yard line, 7-3, 3:16 left to go. We'll go ahead and step aside here on KSDJ. Glad you're with us. We'll be back right after this.
I spent a lot of time in the garage, but even more time in the rain and mud. In '95, I helped tow your moving trailer. And in '09, it was sparks from me, your chains, dragging behind your truck that accidentally started a wildfire.
Spark a change, not a wildfire. Visit SmokeyBear.com, brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Walking into the building for the first time after the shooting, it was crippling, but it had to be preserved.
In response to the Pulse nightclub shooting that affected the LGBTQ community, Barbara Poma, owner of Pulse, founded the One Pulse Foundation to honor Pulse victims and survivors.
If you're an ally of this community, speak out. There are more of us together than apart. It is the power of love in its rawest form.
Join the fight for LGBTQ acceptance. Learn how at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
Well, a 7-3 lead for Illinois State. That could potentially be a Jackrabbit lead here in just a couple of moments. They're on the 6 yard line, a 3rd down. Dalton, what do they have to do to be able to punch in a touchdown?
Well, they either have to, I say give it to Davis. Davis pushes it, so kind of HB toss. Like you played Madden, right?
Yeah, I've played Madden.
So just give it to Davis or Yeah, just give it to Davis, and Davis can have her offensive line push Davis into the end zone.
So have Davis do what Davis do?
Yes, exactly.
Well, that's not what they're going to do. They have about 5 wide receivers out there, and Gronowski all by himself in the backfield. He'll take it. He'll dive in there head first.
Or you can just give it to your quarterback.
For the touchdown. The Jackrabbits finally get a touchdown on the board. They lead at 9-7. Gronowski doing it himself.
Yep.
I mean, basically the same principle, right? It was just the quarterback that did it.
Just a quarterback, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. 3:11 left to go in the first half, second quarter. This field goal unit out to put the extra point up. Waiting for it here. The Mueller snap, the Heidi hold, and the Dustman kick is up and good. The Jacks lead it now 10-7. Oh, how the turntables, quote from The Office. 3:11 left to go in the second quarter. Your face seems a little judgy right now.
I mean, I kind of laughed at that.
I'm glad. That's my whole entire goal. We'll step aside here, hopefully for the last time in the first half. 3:11 left to go. 10-7, Jackrabbits lead it. We'll be back right after this. Maybe. There we go.
Accidents happen far too often and never at a convenient time. That's why Dave's Collision Repair Center is here to help. Their highly trained staff will help you by working with both you and the insurance company handling the claim. The staff at Dave's Collision takes pride in returning your vehicle to you in a timely manner and looking as good as it did before the accident. You'll find them at 1019 Main Avenue South or online at davescollision.com.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Ten to 7, the Jackrabbits have their first lead of the day with 3:11 left to go in the first half. Glad you're with us here on KSDJ Radio. That scoring drive, 14 plays, 79 yards, took about 7 minutes and 44 seconds off the clock. PAT was good, so that gives us a 10 to 7 lead. Gronowski finishing it off. Run right up the middle for 6 yards for the touchdown. He now has 8 rushes for 20 yards, only 9 yards less than the running back. I love football.
Football is, I love football too, so.
Football's football, and that's what makes football football.
Especially college.
Kickoff going from left to right. Going to be brought down as he's backing up. A fair catch going to be called. As the Redbirds will take over deep in their own territory. Well, not necessarily deep. It's in their own territory. Going to be at their own 25-yard line. With just over 3 minutes left to go. Get a halftime. We'll take a look at first half stats for both individuals and team, and also take a look around the world of college football. Rittenhouse takes snap, hand off to right, coming around the right edge. Finally gets stopped. Decent gain for him. Pretty good gain, to be honest, on a first down. That'll set up a 2nd and 3 on their own 32. This Illinois State team can be dangerous.
They are, especially, I mean, you know, they're basically playing for their season.
Yeah.
So it could be dangerous if they make it to the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely. Rittenhouse, handoff to right, straight up the middle. That one gets stopped by the front line of the defense. No gain on the play. Cale Reeder gets the stop. It'll be 3rd and 2nd as the crowd comes to volume here. With a little help of the Jackrabbit defense egging them on. Rittenhouse coming right under center. Motion across from tight end. Takes a snap, play action, looking right. Throws it way down the field, just out of reach from the receiver. Minimal contact on the play. That pass intended for, it would probably be good if I had my flip sheet the right way, Daniel Somkowitz. It would also be good if I knew this team.
Yeah.
I'll admit, I didn't do all my homework. I'm sorry. That'll set up a 4th and 2 in their own territory. Punt team coming out now. Jack Takarian. Kind of a tall guy, 6'2". Taller than me for sure.
That's taller than me.
Yep, that one's back. Fair catch called by Yonke at the 25, and the Jackrabbits will get it again before the second quarter is over. What do you want to see in this last drive? What would you call a successful last drive of the first half?
You know, start passing the ball more instead of running it. But, you know, we'll see. But I would like to see, the Jacks pass it a little bit more. Obviously to Tucker Kraft and then his, also the Yonke brothers as well. But I just want to kind of see, Tucker Kraft catch a little bit more. So
Grudowski in the gun takes a snap, stepping back, looks across the middle, gets it to Kraft, and down to the 40-yard line.
Just predicted it.
Yep, we're at a bullet pass straight down the middle. Grudowski stepping up in the pocket, laser pointing it right there, and they're going to mark it right at the 39. $1:30 left to go in the second quarter. 10-7, the Jacks lead it. 2 receivers off to each side again. Davis off to Grudowski's right. Stepping in the pocket, staying right there, feet planted, and gets it, slings it right to Davis. And again, another decent gain on a first down. Not enough for another first down, but it will be 2nd and 2. 30-second timeout called now. I do believe that is Illinois State that took that. As the Jackrabbits seem to be moving the ball down the field a lot better than they were in the first quarter.
Indeed.
That is for sure.
Oh, yeah.
2nd down and 2 to go for the first down for the Jacks, with just over a minute left to go in the second quarter. Grudowski 10 for 14 with 143 yards. Davis 11 touches for 29 yards. And Grudowski on the ground, 8 rushes for 20 yards. On the other side, Grudowski in the gun now. Takes a snap, stepping back. Dump out to Davis as the secondary was covering deep downfield. Nice little dump pass down the middle as Davis gets all the way down to the other 40-yard line. Hurry-up offense coming from the Jacks. 3 receivers to the left, 1 off to the right, and Yonke. Grudowski stepping, rolling out towards the right, looking downfield, and he throws that one away. That will stop the clock as well. 56 seconds left to go in the first half. Good tempo coming from the Jacks. Here to end things in the second quarter. Finally kind of get to slow up shop too and talk about what they kind of want to do here instead of just going rapid fire, hurry up, get up to the line, and kind of a run and gun show,
Oh, yeah.
Motion from right to left from Jackson Yonke. Snap from Gronowski. Looking downfield. Has Kraft across the middle. Couple yards gained on the play. They'll set up about 2nd and 8. Again, a hurry up. 3 receivers to the right, 1 to the left. Gronowski looking right this time. Has Kraft again. And that will be enough for a first down. They'll get it down to the 27. The clock is rolling. Gronowski claps, takes a snap, looking right again. This time he has Yonke. Jackson Yonke with the toe tap gets it inside the red zone now. The Jacks hurry up to the line as the clock is stopped momentarily as the chain gang gets set. Well, in fact, it is stopped, period, because he did go out of bounds. I forgot. So now the Jackrabbits come up to the line. 1st and 10 on the Redbirds 13. Johnson moving from the left to right of Gronowski. Stepping back. Pocket collapses. He'll be brought down. The sack coming from Vandenberg. His ninth and a half sack, excuse me. I couldn't remember how to say that for a second. I was like, what? His 9th and a half sack of the year. Leads the Valley. And another timeout called, this time by South Dakota State. So the ball's now on the 18, and they have a 2nd and 15 with 17 seconds left in the second quarter. Moving the ball down the field relatively decent. Well, I shouldn't say relatively decent. I mean, like pretty good here. So far, it's 8 plays for 57 yards. Now in the red zone. Johnson to his left. Gronowski now signaling for Kraft to motion. Takes a snap, backing up. Steps up and gets it to Kraft. Tries to make a man miss. Barreling down. Gets it up. So penalty is going to be on the offense. Holding. It's going to back them up. It's a penalty you really can't afford to take there.
Oh, no. With 7 seconds left.
So that'll back them right up. Definitely a long ways away from where they need to go.
Indeed.
Just shadowing is going to be on the 28. They're going to spike the ball really quick. Bring the field goal unit out. Definitely the smartest thing to do there after that.
Yeah.
So that'll stop the clock at 5 seconds. 10-7, the Jacks lead it and look to take a little bit of 3 extra points into halftime. So Dustman and the field goal unit out there. The snap, hold by Heidi. The kick from Dustman is good. He has a leg.
He does have a leg.
He definitely has a leg. So that'll send them into halftime. They have the lead, 13-7, after things looked a little bit grim for them there in the first half. But they do prevail. They get things rolling. And now they're going into halftime with the lead and some momentum. Illinois State will receive the second half kickoff. But we're going to go ahead and step aside. When we come back, we'll have the Jackrabbit halftime show, take a look around the world of college football, as well as some first half stats from both teams. You're listening to Jackrabbit Football on your student home for Jackrabbit Athletics, KSDJ.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean when it happened. There was a sudden jolt and our submarine crashed on the seafloor. We were in total darkness.
That's Dr. Dejana Figueroa, a marine biologist and STEM teacher, talking about a deep sea dive she'll never forget.
It's funny, when I was a kid, I was afraid of the ocean, and there I was, 2 miles below the surface. But as a scientist, you prepare for that. Using our training and a little creativity, we fixed the sub and finished our experiments. The dive was just too important. Every dive gives us glimpses at things few people ever get to see. Glowing creatures, fiery undersea volcanoes. When we got back to the surface, I kissed the ground and called my mom, of course. But you know what? I wouldn't trade that dive for anything.
Dr. Figueroa uses her passion for STEM to discover new things and make the world a better place. She can STEM, so can you. Check out She Can STEM for more stories and inspiration. A message from the Ad Council.
This portion of KSDJ 90.7's broadcast is brought to you by Guadalajaras. Located at 1715 6th Street in the Village Square Mall, Guadalajaras specializes in authentic Mexican cuisine. Guadalajaras opens at 11 a.m. every day and closes at 10 p.m. Monday through Thursday, at 10:45 p.m. on Fridays and Saturdays, and at 9:30 p.m. on Sundays. Weekly margarita specials are offered Monday through Wednesday. Guadalajaras, a proud sponsor of KSDJ 90.7.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Welcome back here to the Dana J. Dykehouse Stadium. It's halftime. 13-7, the Jackrabbits lead it over the Illinois State Redbirds. Glad you're along with us here on KSDJ Radio. Thank you to Matt Waberdink back in the studio, making sure we get on air and stay on air all the time. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the drive summaries from the scoring drives so far. Illinois State hasn't had an offensive score so far yet in this game, although they do have 7 points. Those 7 points came off of a punt that got blocked and scooped up for a score. That was the first score of the game. So they took the lead 7-0. Then after that, the Jacks got back on offense, drove 8 plays, 70 yards, put up a field goal. They trailed it 7-3. A 4-and-out by the Redbirds. The Jacks got the ball back. 14-play, 79-yard drive for the lone touchdown, the lone offensive touchdown of the game. And then another 3-and-out by the Redbirds. That set up this last drive for the Jackrabbits. They were up really close at one point at the 1 yard line, but couldn't get things done. A holding penalty pushed him back, and Hunter Dustman came out for the field goal to end the first half once again. So that is the drive summary of the first half so far for all of the scores. About 14 minutes left at halftime. We'll take another break here on KSDJ Radio. When we come back, we'll take a look at some of the first half stats. Then after that, we'll take a look at some scores around the world of college football. This is Jackrabbit Football on your home for Jackrabbit Athletics, KSDJ 90.7 FM.
This portion of KSDJ 90.7's broadcast is brought to you by State University Theater at SDSU. State University Theater will show the dramatic comedy Sheep Hills Monsters as part of their 2022-23 season, with shows November 17th through the 20th at the Oscar Larson Theater. Showtimes are 7:30 p.m. with a 2 p.m. matinee on November 20th. Tickets are available at sdsutheater.org.
Here's a fun fact for you. The average chameleon can point their eyes in 2 different directions. On the other hand, the average human can't. So unless you're a chameleon, there's absolutely no way you can focus on texting and driving at the same time. So don't do it, unless you're a chameleon.
Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
I was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean when it happened. There was a sudden jolt and our submarine crashed on the seafloor. We were in total darkness.
That's Dr. Dejana Figueroa, a marine biologist and STEM teacher, talking about a deep sea dive she'll never forget.
It's funny, when I was a kid, I was afraid of the ocean, and there I was, 2 miles below the surface. But as a scientist, you prepare for that. Using our training and a little creativity, we fixed the sub and finished our experiments. The dive was just too important. Every dive gives us glimpses at things few people ever get to see. Glowing creatures, fiery undersea volcanoes. When we got back to the surface, I kissed the ground and called my mom, of course. But you know what? I wouldn't trade that dive for anything.
Dr. Figueroa uses her passion for STEM to discover new things and make the world a better place. She can STEM, so can you. Check out She Can STEM for more stories and inspiration. A message from the Ad Council.
(13-7), the Jackrabbits lead at halftime over Missouri Valley Football Conference foe, Illinois State. Glad to have you along with us here. Going to take a look at some first half stats. First for the visiting Illinois State Redbirds, Tommy Rittenhouse, funnily enough, is actually the leading rusher for the Illinois State Redbirds. He has 3 rushes for 17 yards, gained 1 yard, lost 16 net yards. His longest rush is 11 yards, and he has an average of 5.3 yards per carry. Wenkerswright is the other one. He has 5 yards. He has 5 rushes for 13 yards. His longest was 7 and averaging 2.6 per carry. In terms of passing, Rittenhouse, the only one who has passed so far in this game. He has 4 completions on 7 attempts for 23 yards. His longest completion is 9 yards. Wenkerswright is the leading receiver. He has 2 targets and 2 catches for 9 yards. He's about 14 yards after contact, and his longest reception is 7 yards. Daniel Sobkowitz is the second leading receiver. 2 targets, 1 catch for 9 yards. He has about 7 yards after contact, and his longest catch was for 9. Jack Takarian had 4 punts for 136 yards, averaging 34 yards per punt, a long of 44, and has 1 touchback. In terms of return, Dylan Gerhardt has 1 return for 18 yards, Kick returns, Jalen Carr has 1 return for 36 yards. And on the defensive side, Zeke Vandenberg has 4 unassisted tackles, 4 assisted tackles for a total of 8. He has 2 sacks and 2 tackles for loss. Dylan Gerhardt has 3 unassisted, 3 assisted tackles, and 6 total tackles. He also has 1 sack. Looking at the South Dakota State Jackrabbits, the leading rusher, Isaiah Davis, 11 rushes for 31 yards gained, 2 yards lost for a net yardage of 29. His longest rush was 6 yards and has an average of 2.6 yards per carry. Mark Gronowski right behind him with 9 carries for 32 yards gained, 17 yards lost for a net yardage of 15. His 1 touchdown rush, and his longest was 14, and averaging 1.7 yards per carry. For passing, Gronowski the only one that has passed, 14 completions on 19 attempts. He has 1 interception. He has 183 yards. 51-yard completion was his longest, and he has 3 sacks. On the receiving end, Tucker Kraft had 6 targets and 6 catches for 44 yards, 22 yards after contact. 14 yards was his longest catch. Jackson Yonke had 4 targets and 3 catches for 46 yards. His longest was 16, and Isaiah Davis had 4 targets for 3 catches and 33 yards. His longest was 13. Hunter Dustman only had to punt once. It was 41 yards. And it was inside the 20. He didn't have a blocked punt, however, and that did not register as a punt. On defense, Cale Reeder has 2 unassisted tackles, 1 assisted tackle for a total of 3, and 1 tackle for a loss. And Chase Norblade and Jason Freeman both have 2 tackles, an unassisted and assisted each. Looking at the team stats, Illinois State has 2 first downs. SDSU has 14. Illinois State has 29 rush yards for 8 attempts. SDSU has 23 attempts and 39 rushing yards. In terms of passing, Illinois State has 23 pass yards, and SDSU has 183 passing yards. And in terms of total offense, Illinois State has 52 yards of total offense on 15 plays, and SDSU has 222 yards of total offense on 43 plays. Let's look at your first half stats, brought to you by the Sports Information Department here at South Dakota State University. When we come back, we'll take a look around the world of college football and get you set up for the second half. This is Jackrabbit football on your home, your student home for Jackrabbit Athletics, KSDJ.
I spent a lot of time in the garage, but even more time in the rain and mud. In '95, I helped tow your moving trailer. And in '09, it was sparks from me, your chains, dragging behind your truck that accidentally started a wildfire.
Spark a change, not a wildfire. Visit SmokeyBear.com, brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Walking into the building for the first time after the shooting, it was crippling, but it had to be preserved.
In response to the Pulse nightclub shooting that affected the LGBTQ community, Barbara Poma, owner of Pulse, founded the One Pulse Foundation to honor Pulse victims and survivors.
If you're an ally of this community, speak out. There are more of us together than apart. It is the power of love in its rawest form.
Join the fight for LGBTQ acceptance. Learn how at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
I was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean when it happened. There was a sudden jolt and our submarine crashed on the seafloor. We were in total darkness.
That's Dr. Dejana Figueroa, a marine biologist and STEM teacher, talking about a deep sea dive she'll never forget.
It's funny, when I was a kid, I was afraid of the ocean, and there I was, 2 miles below the surface. But as a scientist, you prepare for that. Using our training and a little creativity, we fixed the sub and finished our experiments. The dive was just too important. Every dive gives us glimpses at things few people ever get to see. Glowing creatures, fiery undersea volcanoes. When we got back to the surface, I kissed the ground and called my mom, of course. But you know what? I wouldn't trade that dive for anything.
Dr. Figueroa uses her passion for STEM to discover new things and make the world a better place. She can STEM, so can you. Check out She Can STEM for more stories and inspiration. A message from the Ad Council.
Well, welcome back. It's halftime, 13-7 here at the Dana J. Dykhouse Stadium. The specialists for both teams are back out onto the field. It is now time to take a glance around the world of college football, and after the Valley scores, we'll get over to the rest of college football, I should say, really probably focusing on the FBS, but there's a score in there if you're like me and my grandpa. You'll like it a lot. Anyway, looking at the Missouri Valley Football Conference again, South Dakota State is in first place. They have a chance, if they do win this game today, to win the outright Missouri Valley Football Conference title. But looking around the rest of the league, North Dakota finally comes back and takes control of their game versus USD after USD was leading for quite a bit. North Dakota takes that one 28-19. Well, looking at this one, Missouri State, after losing to the Jackrabbits, really just kind of hightailed it off the deep end, huh?
Oh, yeah, they did, for sure.
Yep, they're 3-6 on the year, 1-5 in the Valley. Taking on Youngstown State. They're currently winning 7-6 at halftime. Indiana State, who South Dakota State beat here the last time they were in Brookings, 21-0 over Western Illinois.
Wow.
Western Illinois 0-9, 0-6 in conference. Indiana State 1-8 and 0-6 in conference. So Indiana State's in good position to take that one. And the other one that we're keeping an eye on, North Dakota State taking on Southern Illinois.
Salukis.
The Salukis, one of the best mascots in the country.
For sure.
5-4, 4-2 in the Valley. They currently trail the 7-2, 5-1 in the Valley Bison, 14-10 after they literally just scored, like right in front of my eyes in the fourth quarter from a 5-yard rush from Cam Miller, the quarterback, for a touchdown. The kick is good, 14-10. They lead it over in Carbondale. Anyway, let's now hand it over to Dalton Sherry for a look at the rest of the college football world.
Thank you. So, for you Cornhusker fans, I know
there is a lot of them
around here. A lot of Cornhusker fans. The Michigan Wolverines are up 7-0 with 11:29 to go in the second quarter. Alabama is losing to Ole Miss 10-0, 12:07 left to go.
That makes me happy in my heart.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Clemson is up on Louisville 10-7, 10:22 left to go in the second quarter. Maryland and Penn State's up on Maryland 14-0, 11:31 left to go in the second quarter. NC State and Boston College. NC State's on Boston College 14-7, 11:21 left to go in the second quarter. Tulane and 22nd Tulane, 22 UCF and 17th ranked Tulane. UCF on Tulane 17-7, 13 minutes, 14 seconds left to go in the second quarter. And that is it for the rest of the FBS Top 25.
All right, thank you, Dalton. Going to take a look at the South Dakota State women's volleyball team, currently in the fifth set, taking on the Kansas City Roos down in Missouri. Another great mascot.
Oh, yeah.
Might I add. They currently lead at 8-4 in the fourth set. They won the first two sets, 25-14, 25-15. Dropped the third, 24-26, and the fourth, 26-28. So it's getting scrappy over there. In the Class AA, or the Class 11 AA state championship happening down in Vermilion, currently Pierre is leading T 35-20 with 2.5 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. So it does look like the Washington Husky product, Lincoln Keenholz, will lead his team to, I think it's their 6th straight state championship.
I don't know anything about South Dakota high school, so.
I know. But the kickoff does go from left to right, and the return gets blown up. So we're about ready to get things going here. Illinois State will start with 14 minutes and 57 seconds left to go in the third quarter. Yeah, no, high school stuff is my stuff. I like high school for some reason.
You know, high school. I enjoy high school baseball. That's a fun thing to watch there.
Yep, it is. Well, a handoff coming to right goes right into the defensive line for South Dakota State. Minimal gain for him. Second and 10, excuse me. They're going to say no gain on that one, and the ball will remain at the 13-yard line. Excuse me, that touchdown must not have made it 14-10. It must have made it 21-10 for North Dakota State. My bad on that one. Can't trust anything. That one's going to be thrown, a quick dump off quickly, and again, this defense coming out here firing so far for South Dakota State.
I think this defense just woke up.
Dyshawn Gales with a huge stop, a huge tackle. They're going to mark it at the same place. No gain. 3rd and 10 on their own 13-yard line. The crowd that is here, it's getting loud.
It is getting loud.
3 receivers to the right, 1 to the left. Rittenhouse takes a snap, dancing all around, looking, tries to escape it, gets tackled in the end zone. He does get the ball away. That could have been bad for the Redbirds, good for the Jackrabbits. Either way, it is good for the Jackrabbits and bad for the Redbirds.
Yes.
So that ball gets thrown away. It will be 4th and 10 and a flag. And see, I was wondering that. I think it is going to be intentional grounding. So it will be 4th and long for the Redbirds. Set up just on the edge of their end zone. He'll take the snap and he'll get it again, a kind of a high short kick, and Yankee touches it. It's going to be straight through his hands and brought down by the Redbirds. Man, talk about a momentum shift.
Man.
The Redbirds will have the ball near midfield now. Well, let's see if the Jackrabbit defense can step up again.
I would have called it dead. I would have called it dead ball, but
as soon as it touches any of the receiving team, it's live.
Yep.
It's
a live ball.
So
well, you got to say that ball was going a little bit over Yankee's head, so
it was. So Rittenhouse and company will set up at the 41-yard line, their own 41-yard line, just outside of midfield. Play action. Looking across the middle. The defense chasing after him as he rolls out towards the right. He does throw it away, and it's caught out of bounds by a teammate that isn't in the game. 2nd and 10 after the quote-unquote incompletion. I mean, it is an incompletion, but he threw it out of bounds. So, 2nd down. As Illinois State comes up to the line. 2 receivers to each side, right going out to be a third receiver on the right side. Rittenhouse by himself in the backfield, coming around the edge. It was screaming off the edge. A flag coming here. Dyshawn Gales arguing it. Coming on the near sideline, near where the receiver was. Crowd here not happy with it at all.
I don't know what the penalty was.
We'll see here. So they're going to call holding on Dyshawn Gales, defensive holding, prior to the pass. So that'll move up the Redbirds quite a bit. They'll now be in plus territory on the 49-yard line of the Jacks. So the Jackrabbits had all the momentum, and then that punt, quote-unquote, fumble recovery. It's taken the wind out of them. A handoff to right, coming around the right side. Does not get anywhere. So it'll be 2nd and 10 on the Jacks 49.
Yep.
Like I said it right then, talk about a momentum shift, but this is a huge momentum shift.
It's a big momentum shift.
And then to add that holding penalty on top of it, it's another punch in the gut. But the Jackrabbit defense holds strong on that play, and they look to continue to do that.
Yes.
Motion coming from Jerome Buckner all around the place. A fake handoff, play action. Stepping up is Rittenhouse. He slides, jumping over him to avoid any penalty. Savion Williams. Decent gain for him. That'll be about 3rd and 4, I want to say. Oh, yeah, 3rd and 4 on there. On the Jacks' 43-yard line.
Jacks getting loud here.
It's 3rd down. 3 receivers off towards the left, 2 to the right. Clap by Rittenhouse. The rush is coming hard, and it's batted away by Isaiah Stallbird. On the far side, pass broken up, and it's going to be a 4th down. So again, the punt team for Illinois State will come out, and the receiving team for the Jacks will come out. Jack Takarian with the punt. Yonke back to receive. It will bounce, and it'll be downed at the 1.
That is a punt.
That's a punt. That is for sure. 11 minutes, 41 seconds left to go in the 3rd quarter. 13-7 is the score. The Jackrabbits look to take it over, backed up at their own 1. So talk about flipping the field.
Exactly.
Like they really had a chance to get really good field position there. That we'll call it muffed punt for sake of simplicity. Switches the momentum, gets things going a little bit for the Redbirds. They can't find anything on offense. The Jackrabbits now have it at their own 1-yard line after a punt. We'll step aside here on KSDJ, be back right after this for more second half action.
I spent a lot of time in the garage, but even more time in the rain and mud. In '95, I helped tow your moving trailer. And in '09, it was sparks from me, your chains, dragging behind your truck that accidentally started a wildfire.
Spark a change, not a wildfire. Visit SmokeyBear.com, brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Walking into the building for the first time after the shooting, it was crippling, but it had to be preserved.
In response to the Pulse nightclub shooting that affected the LGBTQ community, Barbara Poma, owner of Pulse, founded the One Pulse Foundation to honor Pulse victims and survivors.
If you're an ally of this community, speak out. There are more of us together than apart. It is the power of love in its rawest form.
Join the fight for LGBTQ acceptance. Learn how at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
Well, the Jackrabbits backed up on their own 1 yard line. 13-7, they lead it in a quick QB draw straight up the middle to start things off. On the 1st and 10 on their own 1 yard line. Coming off of the punt from Jack Takarian. They get a yard on the play. So that'll set up a 2nd and 9 on the 2.5 yard line. So a 2nd and 8, they're going to call it. Gronowski in the gun with Davis behind him. Stepping back, surveying the field. Pocket collapses, he gets it out, and Hines wanting a flag for excessive contact coming from the defense. Does not get it. The ball will fall incomplete, and that will be a 3rd and 8 now for the Jacks. Same field position. Ball on the 2.5. As personnel switches come in. The offense looking to get something going here. 13-7 lead. Gronowski in the gun. Davis right behind him. Handoff. Davis finds a little seam. He gets hit pretty hard, but he gets a decent gain on it. It'll be down to the 9 yard line. That'll set up a 4th down, and the punt team comes out for the Jackrabbits. Dustman going to be back to punt. And back to receive for Illinois State, Brock Annexstad, the senior from Northland, Minnesota. The snap and the punt from Dustman. High, long. Going to be fair caught at the 50-yard line, right on the 50-yard line. So Illinois State will get another crack at it. As the offense comes out. Man, it really feels weird to not have any crowd noise coming through our headphones.
It's so weird.
Like, and the reason I'm saying that is it's partly because of the weather and the crowd on hand. But we don't have a crowd mic right now.
No.
And it feels weird.
It feels very weird.
Because it just feels like I'm talking to somebody. I had to do a play-by-play assignment for a play-by-play class back at my old college. And it was just me and my friend sitting at home doing play-by-play of the AFC Championship with the TV muted. That was weird.
Man, that was
pass going to be incomplete.
When I started with Tristan, the sports director, it was weird because we didn't have a crowd mic, and we did the I want to say we did the Saluki game.
Yep.
And it was so, like, the crowd was so loud.
It was crazy.
You could hear it through your headset there, so that was kind of cool.
2nd and 10 on the pass. Incomplete, intended for Annexstad. Brock Annexstad, I should clarify that. That's going to be wrapped up right, getting drugged backwards. That'll be a loss of about 5 yards on the play, and the defense coming up big again for the Jacks. They'll say they'll use the forward progress, so will not be a loss, but it will be 3rd and 10. Savion Williamson getting the stop on that one. The 3rd and 10, the crowd does get louder here. Ball right at the 50. Rittenhouse takes a snap, backing up, gets flushed out towards the right, looking downfield, throws it, and is going to be picked off. Picked up by Dyshawn Gales, and the ball will pop loose, weirdly enough. I think he was out of bounds. And the Jacks defense comes up huge with the turnover.
The Jacks have woken up now.
Dyshawn Gales picks it up off of the reflection. And the Jackrabbits do indeed have some life. The tip coming from Dallas Beanham. Gales brings it down, and the Jackrabbits now have the ball on their own 38. Davis beside Gronowski. Yankees off to each side. Now motion from Yankee coming from left to right. Gronowski fires it downfield. He has Yankee again. Jaden Yankee brings it in, and they're inside the red zone.
Yankee is having a day.
He's having a game, ladies and gentlemen. Three catches for, before that, 46 yards. No, excuse me. 2 catches for, before that, 60 yards. And now, 3 catches. That got him over the 100-yard mark, 103 yards receiving. Has a handoff to Davis, going to go up through the line. Gain of a couple of yards on that play. Man, the Jackrabbits really coming out with a lot of firepower here in after what could have been another disastrous series of events coming from just a whole number of factors.
Oh, yeah.
And what could have sent them into a spell like they had at the beginning of the game.
Mm-hmm.
But instead they respond really well.
Yep.
And they get things done here, and they're in the red zone with a 2nd and 5 on the Redbirds 14. Motion coming. Now a handoff to Davis again. He finds a little bit of a hole, keeps churning, gets enough for a first down. He's inside the 10-yard line. They'll say he called him down. Davis somehow got out of that pile. I think he thinks he didn't, his knees didn't touch the ground and that he was on top of somebody, and so he got up and kept running, but they're going to call him down at the 8-yard line, which I would say that is the correct call.
Yep.
Even if he didn't touch the ground. You got wrapped up. Forward momentum was stopped. It's over.
Yeah.
1st and goal now. Another handoff to Davis. Makes a man miss. Dives his way through.
Touchdown.
He's a beast.
He is a beast.
8-yard touchdown run for Isaiah Davis, and the Jacks widen the lead. (19-7) as it stands right now. As it looks like they're going to go ahead and keep the offense out there. That's why I was staying silent so long. I was trying to figure out, are they keeping the offense out there? They are indeed. Gronowski takes the snap, rolling around towards the right. It's a foot race to the end zone. He's got a leg up. He's doing a little dance, and he's hyped. 21-7. The Jackrabbits have the lead with 7 minutes left to go in the 3rd quarter. We'll step aside here on KSDJ Radio. Your Jacks have the lead. You're listening to Jackrabbit Football on your home, for your student home for Jackrabbit Athletics. Got to make sure I get the student in there. The student home for your Jackrabbit Athletics, KSDJ.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
This portion of KSDJ 90.7's broadcast is brought to you by Guadalajara's. Located at 1715 6th Street in the Village Square Mall, Guadalajara specializes in authentic Mexican cuisine. Guadalajara's opens at 11 a.m. every day and closes at 10 p.m. Monday through Thursday, at 10:45 p.m. on Fridays and Saturdays, and at 9:30 p.m. on Sundays. Weekly margarita specials are offered Monday through Wednesday. Guadalajara's, a proud sponsor of KSDJ 90.7.
(21-7), the Jacks lead it off of a 4-play, 62-yard drive, capped off by an Isaiah Davis rushing touchdown, an 8-yard rushing touchdown, and a Mark Gronowski 2-point conversion run coming off the right side, beating out the defense. And he was hyped over there. He was over there in the corner flexing. This whole entire team really has a different feel in the second half.
Oh, yeah.
21-7, they lead it now. With 7 minutes and 9 seconds left to go in the third. Dustman to kick it off. Back to return Frankie West and Brock Annigstad. Ball's going to be right at the 1-yard line. He knows how to place a ball. Brought out by Annigstad, and it'll be pushed out of bounds right at the 15-yard line. So the Redbirds will take over on offense. Rittenhouse is 5 for 12 with 23 passing yards and an interception. That interception is what sparked that last drive. A deflection from Dallas Beanham. And an interception from Dyshawn Gales. Set him up with good field position. A huge play to Jaden Yonke set up that touchdown as well. Rittenhouse keeps it, goes around the edge, has enough for a first down, runs out of bounds, I should say, not gets pushed, he runs out of bounds. So as I said, a first down now, going to be marked at the 29-yard line. Two receivers to the left, one to the right, motioning behind the tight end a little bit now. Play action, fake to right. The pass coming to the right side is complete. Going to be Daniel Sobkowitz. So like a 2nd and 1 now on their own 38. Again, a motion from a tight end just right behind the line of scrimmage. Receivers out to each side. Play action again, this time being kept by Rittenhouse. And another play getting blown up by the defense. Isaiah Stallbird with the stop. And Rittenhouse arguing that there should be some sort of repercussions for that.
Don't you just love college football?
I love football.
Football, period, is just...
Yep. 3rd and 2 now. Receivers to the left. Handoff to right into the pile. The mass pile of bodies. Got a little bit of a push there. It's going to be close, and they are going to say he did get it. So first down for Illinois State. As the clock ticks down to 5:10 left to go in the third. As it does seem to get slowly darker here in Brookings. How are you dealing with daylight savings?
You know, it's pretty hard because
it is pretty hard.
It's kind of screwed my brain up.
Yeah, just wait until it gets dark at 4.
Oh yeah,
they will really be thankful for it. Handoff to right, straight up the middle, and again gets stopped. That front line doing the damage. 21-7, the Jacks lead at 4.5 minutes left to go in the third. Receivers to the left. Rittenhouse claps once, takes a snap. Play action, coming around the edge, escapes the pressure, throws it away. Wow, that was close.
That was.
So now setting up a 3rd down and 9 yards to go on their own 41-yard line. The crowd does get loud indeed. One thing to note as well, with the student section, it is a 3-day weekend.
That is true, so a lot of people went home.
I forgot about that. I just forgot about that. Rittenhouse stepping back, pressure, evades it, gets brought down practically by his own lineman. He got clipped by his own guy. He seems a little bit shaken up now.
Yeah.
Kobe Rios, the junior from Rock Island, Illinois, couldn't get out of the way fast enough as he made a little bit of a move to try and get away from it, from the defense. And it helped. It helped Cade Trevere bring him down. So now the punt coming, gets blocked. It's straight up in the air, and it's going to drop down and knelt by number 86, Bryson Deming. Man, the Jacks have unbelievable momentum right now.
They do.
30-yard line is where the ball will be spotted after the blocked punt, and it's going to come off the backside, really, I do believe, of Max Zebarth, his own teammate, his up-back. So the Jackrabbit offense out now, looking to really put this thing out of reach. Gronowski sitting at 15 of 21 for 226 yards. He's having a whale of a game. Thanks in part to freaking Jaden Yonke streaking down the field every other play.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like. So timeout called by South Dakota State. We'll take it with them. 3.5 minutes left to go in the third. 21-7. The Jacks have the lead. We'll be back right after this.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
This portion of KSDJ 90.7's broadcast is brought to you by State University Theater at SDSU. State University Theater will show the dramatic comedy Sheep Hills Monsters as part of their 2022-23 season, with shows November 17th through the 20th at the Oscar Larson Theater. Showtimes are 7:30 p.m. with a 2 p.m. matinee on November 20th. Tickets are available at sdsutheater.org.
Timeout called by South Dakota State after a huge blocked punt to set them up on the Redbird 30-yard line. 21-7, 3 minutes and 21 seconds left to go in the third quarter. Glad you're with us here on KSDJ Radio. The final regular season game for the Jackrabbits ending a little bit of a week early. Is it cold?
It's a little chilly. It's a little chilly.
You just stuck your hand out of the window and was like, whew. I could hear it too. I was like, whew.
It's a little cold today.
It's a little cold. 21-7. As the Jacks offense is now out there. I do notice now that they have a little bit of a personnel change. So maybe the timeout was good.
I'm afraid to open this window because if I do, we're gonna be popsicles.
Yeah, exactly. Play action. Gronowski gets it right across to Yonke, and who else but Jaden? And he's not going down either. A whole host of Redbirds bring it down, and there's a little bit of pushing and shoving, and now the Zebras have to get involved and break it up. Things are getting testy here.
They are.
And I mean, it is understandable. Down 21-7. I
Yep.
mean, your season is
literally on the line.
Looking a little bit over. If I'm just going to be frank with it.
Mhm.
As we tick down underneath 3 minutes left. Gronowski shotgun snap, looks left, has Jackson Yonke. He gets hit hard. A flag comes flying out a little bit before the hit, though. So I'm curious to see what it is. Waiting for the call from the referee, Aaron Adams. So we can just see a bunch of signaling. So that's going to be an ineligible player downfield. Garrett Greenfield was apparently too far down the field, the offensive lineman from Rock Valley, Iowa, the senior from Rock Valley, Iowa. So that'll back them up a little bit. It still will be first down, but this time a 1st and 15 on the Redbird 21. Have Kraft in the backfield, which is interesting. Right beside Gronowski. Handoff. Johnson has a huge hole. Using his speed, that extra burst, that acceleration trigger on Madden or NCAA, whichever one you play.
NCAA, Madden, just use that RT button.
The right trigger, yep, and hit that extra speed. That gets him down to within the 5-yard line. It will be at the 5-yard line, a 1st and goal. Loving the video game references, right?
Oh, yeah, I would just take it upfield if I was playing Madden.
If I was playing Madden, there would also be less stakes.
That is true.
Gronowski takes a snap. Hand off to Johnson. This time he gets wrapped up. They were ready for that one.
They were.
Right on the left edge. Well, the final coming down, North Dakota State 21, Southern Illinois 18. So North Dakota State does continue to win. The only loss in Missouri Valley Conference play is South Dakota State. And Indiana State over Western Illinois 21-0. That is also a final. Gronowski in the gun. Johnson behind him. Play action, stepping out right, looking right. He has his guy. There's a little bit of contact. No laundry on the field. Ball will fall incomplete, and the pass was intended indeed for Tucker Kraft right at the pylon, at the 1-yard line, right outside the pylon, I should say, on the right side. Just couldn't quite bring it down. It was placed perfectly, just could not bring it down if you're Kraft. Third and 7. Two receivers to the left, 3 to the right. Gronowski steps up, gives it straight to Hines, and that's another touchdown for your Jackrabbits. 7-yard touchdown pass from Gronowski to Kraft to put them up even more.
He was just waiting for it.
27-7. The Jacks now lead it by 20 after finding their stride. 52 seconds left in the third period as the field goal unit is out. And they're ready to make it 28-7. The hold by Heidi and the kick by Dustman is true. 28-7. here right before the end of the third quarter. Excellent vision by Gronowski finding Hines, and as you said, Hines was just sitting there waiting for it. He was covered by two people. He was in front of both of them, however, standing right on the edge of the end zone. Catches it chest high, number high, right in the numbers for 6. So that touchdown drive is 5 plays, 30 yards, culminating in that 7-yard touchdown pass. The PAT is good. So that's a look at the drive summary. 52 seconds left to go in the third. 28-7, South Dakota State leads in the final regular season game of this year. So Dustman tees it up, ready to kick it off. The Redbirds have West and Annexstad back to receive. So, ball is going to be marked at the 25-yard line. Just under a minute left to go in the third. Rittenhouse in the gun right, shadowing him on the right side. A pitch out to right. Finding a way to get through. Fighting for a couple of extra yards and a couple of yards shy of the first down. It'll be about 2nd and 4 now. Ball spotted at the 31. As the clock is slowly ticking down.
That wind is cold.
Hand off to right, straight up the middle. Doesn't get much. And a flag high in the air. Most likely going to be an unsportsmanlike conduct, if I would have to guess. Thrown out of the mass of people right in the middle of the field. Waiting for the official call. It will indeed be unsportsmanlike conduct on Illinois State. Number 70, Drew Bones, the senior from Ottawa, Kansas. So that'll back them up.
Ottawa, Kansas.
Ottawa, Kansas. Never heard of her.
Never heard of her, exactly.
No, I'm not even going to lie there. As the clock ticks down to 0. And the Jacks head to the 4th. 28-7. We'll be back with the 4th quarter right here on your student home for Jackrabbit football. Right here, KSDJ 90.7 FM.
Here's a fun fact for you. The average chameleon can point their eyes in 2 different directions. On the other hand, the average human can't. So unless you're a chameleon, there's absolutely no way you can focus on texting and driving at the same time. So don't do it, unless you're a chameleon.
Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
I was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean when it happened. There was a sudden jolt and our submarine crashed on the seafloor. We were in total darkness.
That's Dr. Dejana Figueroa, a marine biologist and STEM teacher, talking about a deep sea dive she'll never forget.
It's funny, when I was a kid, I was afraid of the ocean, and there I was, 2 miles below the surface. But as a scientist, you prepare for that. Using our training and a little creativity, we fixed the sub and finished our experiments. the dive was just too important. Every dive gives us glimpses at things few people ever get to see. Glowing creatures, fiery undersea volcanoes. When we got back to the surface, I kissed the ground and called my mom, of course. But you know what? I wouldn't trade that dive for anything.
Dr. Figueroa uses her passion for STEM to discover new things and make the world a better place. She can STEM, so can you. Check out She Can STEM for more stories and inspiration. A message from the Ad Council.
Welcome back here, 28-7. At the start of the fourth quarter, glad you're along with us here on your student home for Jackrabbit Athletics. KSDJ 90.7 FM. I don't even know if, it's kind of past the top of the hour. You know, I try to hit a station ID every once in a while. It don't work sometimes.
No, it doesn't.
Any scores you want to update on, or?
You know, I mean, I was gonna update y'all on Michigan and Nebraska, but some of you Nebraska fans, very disappointing. But they are down 17-3 at halftime against third-ranked Michigan.
Well, that just sucks, doesn't it?
It does suck. It does suck.
See, what I'm curious about, I'm a Wyoming fan.
A Wyoming?
I'm a Wyoming fan, yeah. I don't know. I'll finish the game at some point. It shouldn't be over when we're done, but it's a 3rd and 17 now after the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty for Illinois State at the 20-yard line now. A completion brought down by Daniel Sobkowitz. That'll set up a 4th down. The ball will be on their own 21-yard line. And Kamirin back to punt. Fair catch called by Yonke and a flag down at the line of scrimmage. We'll see what the call is. So that'll be an illegal formation against Illinois State. (28-7) is the score at the start of the fourth quarter. The Jackrabbit offense now trots themselves out. They'll have the ball at their own 43. Gronowski talking to the sideline. Now as the play clock continues to wind down, now at 8. Claps. Gets the snap off and hands off to Davis. Another flag on the play. He runs up the middle, gets a few yard gain, but like I said, laundry on the field. It's going to be holding on Mason McCormick, a senior from Sioux Falls. That'll back him up. 10 yards. It'll be a 1st and 10 as they replay first down. Set up on their own 33 now. 2 receivers to the left. Gronowski steps back in the pocket. He dumps it off. Had Hines coming across the middle, kind of towards the left, gets a couple of yard gain, 3 yards on the play. So now set up at their own 36. Two backs in the backfield, both to the right of Gronowski. Haven't seen that formation. A quick bubble screen out to Yankee. He tries to make a man miss. He has enough to get it back to the original line of scrimmage, plus an extra couple of yards. Great play design. That's going to be 3rd and probably about 6. It's going to be 3rd and 5. That's what they're going to call it after the 12-yard gain from Gronowski to Jaden Yankee. Gronowski takes it and he's going to keep it himself. Turns and cuts back inside again, fighting for the extra yardage. He gets a first down, signals it. And the Jackrabbits aren't done yet. 1st and 10, going to be spotted at their own, at the Redbirds 45. As the clock ticks down near 12 minutes left to go in the 4th. Davis behind Gronowski. Jaden Yankee off to the right. Jackson off to the left. Gronowski takes a snap, looking towards Jackson Yankee. Toe tapping, gets his foot down right at the 25-yard line. Signals first down, points to the crowd, and the referees signal catch. Another first down for the Jackrabbits, and they're inside the red zone. Excellent display of athleticism there by Yankee. Again, a pinpoint pass from Gronowski. Gronowski now 20 for 7 on the day with 262 passing yards. They're going to go ahead and review the play. As he tapped his feet, staying in bounds personally, is what I think. From what I could see, and it legitimately happened like right directly in front of me. I could see it pretty well here. So the play is under review. Let's take a look at it on the big screen with the entirety of everybody here at the Dyke House. It's kind of a weird angle to watch it from. Here's the call. It's been confirmed. It will be a first down for the Jackrabbits on the 24-yard line. So they will be in the red zone just by 1 yard. So the Jacks offense now coming out, 2 backs to each side of Gronowski. A motion from Hines from left to right. And a false start coming from the offense. John O'Brien moving. So that'll back them up a little bit. John O'Brien on the right side of the line, moving after the motion from Hines. Clock does continue to run. We tick down close to 11 minutes left in the 4th. Snap by Gronowski. Hand off to Davis. That one gets blown up. The defensive line goes right in there. And another loss of yardage, I should say. Another loss of yardage. Not another loss by Davis, but another loss of yardage for the Jacks. Second and 19 is the down and distance. Ball is on the 33-yard line of the Redbirds. Johnson to the left of Gronowski. Snap, looking downfield, has a lot of real estate to work with. Turns it upfield, fighting, and gets it just a few yards shy of the original line of scrimmage. Gonna mark it at the 28-yard line. It'll be a 3rd and 14 now. As the Jackrabbits look to figure something out to keep this drive alive. 2 receivers to the right, 3 to the left, and now motioning. Tight end comes in and shadows on the right side. Johnson towards the left, and he finds a hole, hits the speed button, and he gets close to it. It's going to be really close. Waiting for the official signal, and they're going to mark him a yard short. It will be 4th down and inches.
That ball is just touching.
And Johnson did everything he could, stretching all 5 feet 11 inches of his frame to try and get it there. They will go for it. A direct snap now to Kraft, going deep into the line. These plays they're pulling out of their pockets, man. It's awesome. Kraft came over from the left, motioned, surprised everybody. He motioned across, took a direct snap under center, pushed his way through, and got that first down.
Kind of like the Philly special.
Kind of like the Philly special, but it's the Jack special. Some sandwich place here in Brookings has gotta make that a thing.
Yeah.
The Jack special.
Jack special.
Uh-huh. I'd get that every day.
Oh, yeah.
Coming around in motion behind from Johnson, and the pocket's going to collapse right on Gronowski. He's down, but he does get back up. The sack will push them back a few yards, but nothing they can't handle, obviously, as we've seen. It's going to be 2nd and 15 now on the Redbirds' 17-yard line. Again, one thing that the Jacks have done all season long is have such a large time of possession.
Oh, yeah.
They're holding the ball for so long. So a motion from Hines to shadow the line, a handoff to Johnson, and that one gets blown up by the defense. The ball does pop loose. I think Johnson got back on it, and he did. So it will not be a turnover, but another loss on the play. So another 3rd and long situation on the 18-yard line of Illinois State. $16 yards to go for a first down, 18 yards to go for a touchdown. Gronowski with this snap steps up into the pocket, rolling towards the right. He had Landon Wolf there, couldn't get it to connect. The pass will fall incomplete. It'll be 4th down and 16. The field goal team will come out. And Dustman looking to knock down his 3rd field goal of the day. The snap, the hold, and the kick is good. Hunter Dustman puts 3 more on the board. And the total now moves to 31-7. 6.5 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. We'll step aside here on KSDJ Radio. We'll be back for the rest of the fourth quarter right after this on 90.7 FM.
I was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean when it happened. There was a sudden...
In response to the Pulse nightclub shooting that affected the LGBTQ community, Barbara Poma, owner of Pulse, founded the One Pulse Foundation to honor Pulse victims and survivors.
If you're an ally of this community, speak out. There are more of us together than apart. It is the power of love in its rawest form.
Join the fight for LGBTQ acceptance. Learn how at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
Accidents happen far too often and never at a convenient time. That's why Dave's Collision Repair Center is here to help. Their highly trained staff will help you by working with both you and the insurance company handling the claim. The staff at Dave's Collision takes pride in returning your vehicle to you in a timely manner and looking as good as it did before the accident. You'll find them at 1019 Main Avenue South or online at davescollision.com.
(31-7). 6.5 minutes left to go in the fourth. 12 plays, 39-yard drive capped off by a Hunter Dustman field goal, his third of the day, his second of 30 yards or more. He has a 35-yarder and a 45-yarder. So the aforementioned Dustman now ready to kick it off to the likes of Annexstad and West. Be fair caught at the 10-yard line. And that's where Illinois State will set up shop. Tommy Rittenhouse, 7 for 15 for 36 yards and an interception. Wenkers Wright has 9 carries for 16 yards, averaging 1.8 per carry. You know, we'll go ahead and take another quick break because TV likes to do that sometimes. We'll be back in 30 seconds right here on KSDJ.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Well, we're back, and we're still in a timeout. Imagine that, Dalton.
Oh, imagine that. Don't you just love TV timeout?
I do. I love commercials. They pay for my food. 31-7 is the score. The Jackrabbits up over Illinois State. Pretty fun game going to be happening down in Sioux Falls. The Jackrabbits taking on St. Bonaventure.
Yeah, the St. Bonaventure, man.
Yeah, the first Jackrabbit basketball game that means something, that isn't an exhibition in South Dakota.
That's going to be a good game.
It is going to be a good game.
St. Bonaventure went to the NCAA tournament.
As did?
As did, yeah.
The Jackrabbits.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm new here, but I still know my stuff.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
31-7, 6.5 minutes left to go. 1st and 10 for Illinois State. Quick pass given out to Daniel Sobkowitz. That's enough for a first down. Illinois State looking to put more than 7 points up on the board before this thing is done and over with. Three receivers to the right. Again, looking left now, overshoots. This player not on the official depth chart in the roster. It is Rashad Lampkin, I think. Second and 10 now, receivers, 2 to each side. Again, a quick pitch out to the left. Spinning around is Jaclon Carter. So they're going to be 1 yard shy of the first down. 3rd down and 1 on their own 44. The offensive huddle breaks. 2 receivers come to the right, 1 comes to the left. Right behind Rittenhouse, and he goes straight up the middle. He does get enough for the first down. It's not where he ends up, but he does get enough with the forward progress. And that will be a 1st and 10. A little bit of problems with the chain gang. They still need to get set up. So now the clock starts running. The snap. Rittenhouse dropping back. Decides to take it upfield and slides. Smooth.
Smooth.
31-7. Thanks, Jason Kosmiski, for that one. Voice of the Denver Nuggets. Rittenhouse with the back to his left, takes a snap, looking towards the left, now runs towards the left. He gives it to right. He can't bring it. That's not right. Lampkin can't bring that down. I wonder if there's anything like wrong with Wright. I wonder if there's any injury or something, because Lampkin has been in there so far this drive.
Yeah.
In the running back position. And not even Nigel White. I don't know why. We haven't seen Nigel White at all today. He's listed as 2nd on the depth chart. Not sure why.
Don't know. I don't know.
Anixtad in the gun. Lampkin to his left. 3 receivers to his left. And again, a pitch out to Lampkin, and he is just not. He cannot catch a ball.
He's got butterfingers.
I'm just going to be frank here. He cannot catch a ball.
He's got butterfingers.
He's going to be incomplete. 4th and 7 now. The ball is at the 50-yard line.
Almost like the gridiron gang with Bates. He can't seem to connect the ball.
Mm-hmm. So now to punt. Takarian. And Yonke's back to return. Jaden Yonke signals a fair catch, and it's brought down at the 5. And that's where everything will start for the Jacks. We step aside, 31-7, 4.5 minutes left to go in the 4th. We'll have it for you the rest of the way here on KSDJ.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
This portion of KSDJ 90.7's broadcast is brought to you by State University Theater at SDSU. State University Theater will show the dramatic comedy She Appeals Monsters as part of their 2022-23 season, with shows November 17th through the 20th at the Oscar Larson Theater. Showtimes are 7:30 p.m. with a 2 p.m. matinee on November 20th. Tickets are available at sdsutheater.org.
Here's a fun fact for you. The average chameleon can point their eyes in 2 different directions. On the other hand, the average human can't. So unless you're a chameleon, there's absolutely no way you can focus on texting and driving at the same time. So don't do it, unless you're a chameleon.
Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
I think that's siete. 31-7. 4.5 minutes left to go. I really shouldn't have done that.
I have to say, you're talking to somebody who failed Spanish class. Spanish 1, I'm not very good at it.
Now ticking down to near 4 minutes left to go in the fourth. It's going to be 2nd and 4 after the run. It's going to be a gain of 6 now, as we get ready to wind things down here for this broadcast. Remember to stick around for the post-game show. We'll have a little bit of stats and a little bit of analysis. We'll take a look at what's coming up here for the Jackrabbits. As Keaton Heide is now in the game. Hands off to Johnson. He pushes forward, and now for a first down. Will be a first down and 10 yards to go. Will now be on the 22-yard line. Heide coming over to the sideline to get the play. Wonder if the headset isn't working. Now under 3 minutes left to go, and a timeout going to be called by South Dakota State. So with that, we will step aside again. 31-7 here on KSDJ Radio. We'll be back after this.
I spent a lot of time in the garage, but even more time in the rain and mud. In '95, I helped tow your moving trailer. And in '09, it was sparks from me, your chains, dragging behind your truck that accidentally started a wildfire.
Spark a change, not a wildfire. Visit SmokeyBear.com, brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Walking into the building for the first time after the shooting, it was crippling, but it had to be preserved.
In response to the Pulse nightclub shooting that affected the LGBTQ community, Barbara Poma, owner of Pulse, founded the One Pulse Foundation to honor Pulse victims and survivors.
If you're an ally of this community, speak out. There are more of us together than apart. It is the power of love in its rawest form.
Join the fight for LGBTQ acceptance. Learn how at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
Two minutes, 59 seconds left to go in the fourth quarter. 31-7 is the score. The top-ranked South Dakota State Jackrabbits up over Illinois State. Glad you're with us here on KSDJ as we wind things down in this game. Keaton Heide in, the backup quarterback for State. In the gun is Johnson behind him. For the back, handoff to Johnson. He has a hole. He tries to get it through. He cannot. Angel Johnson just cannot get it through there.
Stand up. It's getting cold down here.
It's not even that cold.
Oh.
2.5 minutes left to go in the fourth. Ball on their own 31-yard line. More than anything, I'm sure they're just going to try and run the clock out. It's good to get Heidi some experience. But,
oh, yeah.
But just in case. But no offense to him, Heidi is a senior, and Gronowski is a sophomore. Angel Johnson hits it outside, coming down, now gets out of bounds past the 50-yard line. A huge gainer for him. And that's going to be another first down for State. Ticking down to under 2 minutes left to go in the fourth. Illinois State, no offensive touchdowns in this game.
Only defense.
Oh, only defense, and technically not even defense. It was special teams.
Oh,
because it was the punt return.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
It was the punt return / punt block team.
The punt block team.
That got the 7 points for them. 31-7 is that score. The handoff to Johnson, pushing straight up the middle. And he's still not going down, Angel Johnson. Going to use his forward progress. It's going to be 2nd and 6. It's going to be on the 44-yard line. So we now are under a minute, just ticking the clock down. I almost said shot clock. I've been doing too much basketball. Game clock at 2 and 1. And they are going to get it off and kneel it in the victory formation. And they will not have to take another snap. So, your top-ranked South Dakota State Jackrabbits will be the undisputed Missouri Valley Football Conference champions for this season. The first time in program history. They reached 10 wins. They advanced to 10-1. For the first time in the regular season in program history, they break a school record with 10 consecutive wins. A lot happened, and we'll recap it for you here in just a little bit.
We will.
We're headed to the Jackrabbit postgame show. The final score here, 31-7. South Dakota State beats Illinois State. Again, like I said, we will have the postgame show for you here right after this.
Walking into the building for the first time after the shooting, it was crippling, but it had to be preserved.
In response to the Pulse nightclub shooting that affected the LGBTQ community, Barbara Poma, owner of Pulse, founded the One Pulse Foundation to honor Pulse victims and survivors.
If you're an ally of this community, speak out. There are more of us together than apart. It is the power of love in its rawest form.
Join the fight for LGBTQ acceptance. Learn how at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
I was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean when it happened. There was a sudden jolt and our submarine crashed on the seafloor. We were in total darkness.
That's Dr. Dejana Figueroa, a marine biologist and STEM teacher, talking about a deep sea dive she'll never forget.
It's funny, when I was a kid, I was afraid of the ocean. And there I was, 2 miles below the surface. But as a scientist, you prepare for that. Using our training and a little creativity, we fixed the sub and finished our experiments. The dive was just too important. Every dive gives us glimpses at things few people ever get to see. Glowing creatures, fiery undersea volcanoes. When we got back to the surface, I kissed the ground and called my mom, of course. But you know what? I wouldn't trade that dive for anything.
Dr. Figueroa uses her passion for STEM to discover new things and make the world a better place. She can STEM, so can you. Check out She Can STEM for more stories and inspiration. A message from the Ad Council.
I spent a lot of time in the garage, but even more time in the rain and mud. In '95, I helped tow your moving trailer. And in '09, it was sparks from me, your chains, dragging behind your truck that accidentally started a wildfire.
Spark a change, not a wildfire. Visit SmokeyBear.com, brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Of course he is.
Welcome back. Here we're in the Jackrabbit postgame show. 31-7 is the final score. Your number one ranked Jackrabbits are now in sole possession of the Missouri Valley Football Conference title for the first time in program history. How special is that?
That's very special.
It's an awesome time. It's an awesome time to be a Jackrabbit fan. It's an awesome time to be a Jackrabbit. They also eclipsed the 10-win mark for the first time in program history in the regular season. They've done it twice before. They've hit 11 wins twice before, but they all took at least 2 wins in the playoffs.
Oh, wow. That's
in order to get there. So nothing short of fantastic football from these guys that are currently running back into the Dyke Student Athlete Center, as I would too, because it's cold out there.
It is very cold.
and I don't blame them one bit. Just great football. They run the table versus the Missouri Valley Football Conference. They beat every single Valley opponent that they play. They are undefeated against FCS teams.
Mm-hmm.
Their only loss was to Iowa to begin this season, which is an FBS team, and I wouldn't say an FBS power, but
no.
by any stretch of the imagination, but still a very good football program over in Iowa City. But the Jackrabbits, nothing short of great football so far all year. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the stats for South Dakota State and Illinois State. We'll take a look at the final stats for them. We'll first start off with the scoring drives. Thank you to the Sports Information Department here at South Dakota State for providing all of this for us. We'll start with the first one, and it actually happened with 1 minute and 40 seconds left in the first quarter. The South Dakota State Jackrabbits ended up punting, having to punt, backed up near their own end zone, and a blocked punt was returned by Isaiah Wagner for the first score of the game. That put the Redbirds up 7-0, and that would be their only score of the game. After that, South Dakota State had 8 plays, drove 70 yards, had a field goal. It was a 22-yard field goal from Hunter Dustman. Their next scoring drive, that was a 14-play, 79-yard drive that ended in a 6-yard touchdown rush from Mark Gronowski. The PAT was good. They led 10-7. Now then, after that, Hunter Dustman, another field goal after a 10-play, 47-yard drive. That one was from 45 yards out to give them a 13-7 lead at halftime. In the second half, a lot of back and forth to begin with, but then South Dakota State finally broke through with a 4-play, 62-yard drive that ended with Isaiah Davis running it in from 8 yards out. A 2-point conversion from Mark Gronowski running around the right side put them up 21-7. Another touchdown came after a 5-play, 30-yard drive, and that ended in a 7-yard touchdown pass from Mark Gronowski to Zach Hines. The PAT was good, making it 28-7, and to end things out, Hunter Dustman, 35-yard field goal after a 12-play, 39-yard drive. That took 7 minutes off the clock. So again, final score, 31-7. Let's take a look now at the leaders in all of the categories, starting with Illinois State. In rushing, it was Tommy Rittenhouse who finished with the most net yards. He had 9 carries for 38 yards gained, 20 yards lost for a net yardage of 18. His longest rush was 12 and an average of 2 yards per carry. We'll also throw in Wenkers right there, who is the running back for Illinois State. He had 9 carries for 16 yards and 1.8 yards per carry. For passing, Tommy Rittenhouse had 10 completions on 20 attempts, had 1 interception for 55 yards. His longest completion was 10 yards and gave up 2 sacks. In terms of receiving, Daniel Sobkowitz was the leading receiver. He was targeted 7 times, completed 4 catches, had 32 yards, and his longest reception was 10 yards. For punting, Jack Takarian had 9 punts for 298 yards, averaging 33.1 yards per punt. His longest was 44. He had 2 that got inside the 20 and had 1 touchback. For punt returns, Dylan Gerhardt had 1 of them for 18 yards. Kick returns, Jalen Carr had 1 of them for 36 yards. And in terms of tackles, Jeff Bowens led the team with 8 unassisted tackles. He had 2 assisted for a total of 10. And Zeke Vandenberg had 6 unassisted, 4 assisted, 10 total tackles, 3 sacks, and 4 total tackles. Looking at the totals for Illinois State, they had 7 first downs, had 22 rushes for 45 yards, had 55 passing yards, and they had 42 total plays of offense for 100 total yards of offense. Now, South Dakota State. In terms of rushing, Isaiah Davis led the way with 16 carries for 56 yards gained, 6 yards lost for a net yardage of 50. He had 1 touchdown. His longest run was 8 yards with an average of 3.1 yards per carry. Mark Gradowski had 20 completions, 28 attempts, 1 interception for 283 yards, a touchdown. His longest pass was 51 yards and gave up 4 sacks. For receiving, Tucker Kraft had 7 targets, 6 catches for 44 yards and 22 yards after contact, and a longest reception of 14. Hunter Dustman punted twice for 82 yards, an average of 41 yards per punt, and his longest was 41. And one of them made it inside the 20-yard line. Jaden Yonke had 1 punt return for 0 yards, no kick returns for State. And in terms of tackles, Jason Freeman had 5 unassisted and 2 assisted tackles for a total of 7. He had 1 sack and 1 tackle for a loss. For totals, SDSU had 23 first downs, had 43 rushes for 148 yards, had 283 passing yards, and had 72 total plays of offense for 431 total offensive yards. So that's a look at the stats. We'll take a break here on KSDJ Radio, and when we come back, we'll have a look around the world of college football, and we'll update you on what South Dakota State will be looking at next as we head into the bye week and eventually the FCS playoffs. You're listening to Jackrabbit Football on your home for Jackrabbit Athletics, KSDJ.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
This portion of KSDJ 90.7's broadcast is brought to you by Guadalajara's. Located at 1715 6th Street in the Village Square Mall, Guadalajara specializes in authentic Mexican cuisine. Guadalajara's opens at 11 a.m. every day and closes at 10 p.m. Monday through Thursday, at 10:45 p.m. on Fridays and Saturdays, and at 9:30 p.m. on Sundays. Weekly margarita specials are offered Monday through Wednesday. Guadalajara's, a proud sponsor of KSDJ 90.7.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
This portion of KSDJ 90.7's broadcast is brought to you by State University Theater at SDSU. State University Theater will show the dramatic comedy She Kills Monsters as part of their 2022-23 season, with shows November 17th through the 20th at the Oscar Larson Theater. Showtimes are 7:30 p.m. with a 2 p.m. matinee on November 20th. Tickets are available at sdsutheater.org.
Welcome back, 31-7. The top-ranked South Dakota State Jackrabbits, your Missouri Valley Football Conference champions for the 2022 season. After this win, Braden Byers and Dalton Sherry with you on this Saturday. I don't consider it evening until 6 o'clock, but it technically is evening right now.
Cold.
I would say. It's cold. It's cold.
It's very cold. Very cold.
That's all Dalton can think about right now.
Oh, yeah.
It's time to take a look around the world of college football. Missouri State is currently playing Youngstown State 25-22. Missouri State is leading the Penguins. I sometimes like to say Penguins. But there's about 6.5 minutes left to go in the fourth, so that's a pretty cool one. After you're done listening to us, feel free to tune in on to that on ESPN3. But the rest of the scores around the Valley look like this. North Dakota beating South Dakota 28-19. North Dakota State retains the number 2 spot in the Valley after taking down Southern Illinois 21-18. Illinois State, obviously, losing to South Dakota State 7-31. Just had to throw that in there because, kind of proud of that score. And then Indiana State blanking Western Illinois 21-0. So we'll have a look at the Missouri Valley Football Conference standings after Dalton gives us a rundown of FCS football.
All right. Thank you, Braden. So, currently, third-ranked Michigan is up on the Nebraska Cornhuskers 17-3. Alabama, 9th-ranked Alabama, and number 11th Ole Miss. Ole Miss on Alabama 24-17, 7:28 left to go in the third quarter on CBS. And Clemson on Louisville 34-10. 14th ranked Penn State is beating Maryland 30-0. And Boston College is trying their best to come back on NC State. 16th ranked NC State 20-14, and that game is on the ACC network with 4:41 left to go in the third quarter. And 22 ranked UCF is on beating 17th Tulane 31-14.
That it?
Yep.
That's it. That's it for a look at the world of FCS football. Now, it's time to take a look at the Missouri Valley Football Conference standings as they stand. Now, South Dakota State has done all they can do, and it's pretty darn good if you ask me.
That is really dang good.
They're 10-1 overall, 8-0 in the Valley, and they're done. They're done for the regular season. This was their last regular season game, whereas the season still goes on for another week. They have a bye. They have a bye next week. So right now, as it sits, North Dakota. Here we'll start from the bottom. South Dakota is at the bottom, 3-7 overall, 2-5 in the Valley. Illinois State at 5-5. Well, I shouldn't say the bottom because South Dakota. Yeah, no, that's okay. I didn't. I didn't scroll down. Don't judge me. I'm tired. Western Illinois at the bottom, 0-7 in the Valley. Indiana State right above them at 1-6 in the Valley. Missouri State at 1-5 in the Valley, pending that that game against Youngstown State. They currently have the lead on that. South Dakota is 2-5 in the Valley. Illinois State is 3-4 in the Valley. Southern Illinois is 4-3 in the Valley. Northern Iowa is 4-3. And Youngstown State is 4-2. And then we get to the top three. North Dakota is 5-2. North Dakota State is 6-1. And South Dakota State is 8-0. So nobody's taking that away from the Jacks. Nobody's taking the number one ranking away from the Jacks in the Valley. Now the question is, what are the playoffs looking like? You know? With the Jackrabbits being the outright Missouri Valley Football Conference champions for the first time in program history. Well, I'll just give you a little down low on what we're looking at here. So the FCS championship game is actually on January 8th, and it will air on ABC. And this is going to be the second time it was on a Sunday. The last time it was on a Sunday was the year that South Dakota State lost to Sam Houston in the national championship. That was the last time it was on a Sunday. It's going to be in Frisco, Texas, again at Toyota Stadium down there. Man, that would be fun to go there. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. So pretty much when we're looking at the playoffs, the teams are selected on Sunday, November 20th. I do believe that is next Sunday.
Yep.
So they will be selected the day after the regular season ends, which is next Saturday. It's going to air on Sunday, November 20th at 12:30 Eastern, which is 11:30 Central on ESPNU. And so that's when the selection show will air. That is when South Dakota State will figure out who they will play coming up in the playoffs. And currently, South Dakota State are on top. Sacramento State at number 2, Montana State at number 3, and North Dakota State at number 4, Jackson State at 5.
Hey.
Yeah, so all of those teams will get in there. Feel free to do your own homework. It's really interesting stuff about the FCS. But the main thing to note is that the first round of the playoffs will be November 26th. So that will be the next time South Dakota State will be in action. That is 2 weeks from today. So that is the next time that they will be in action. We don't know who their opponent will be yet. We'll find that out next Sunday at about 11:30 a.m. on ESPNU. So that's what we're looking at for that. In terms of athletics here at South Dakota State, basketball season started.
Basketball, man.
Basketball season started last night. We had on our airwaves number 23 South Dakota State women's basketball team taking on Lehigh. That was a pretty good game. The Jacks did win. And then looking tomorrow, we finally have a day off.
Oh, yeah. Thank God.
Yeah, thank the Lord. And then Monday.
Back at it again.
We're right back at it again. We're going to have Mississippi State visiting Frost Arena for a matchup between the Summit League and the Southeastern Conference. Would like to invite you to come out and cheer your Jacks on. If you can't make it, feel free to join us here right on KSDJ 90.7 FM and KSDJradio.com. And then looking at that, I'm not quite sure about the logistics of Tuesday, not sure what we're going to be doing on Tuesday or whatever, but stay tuned to our social media. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all of that. We'll keep you in the loop for what's going to be happening. But on Tuesday, the Jackrabbits men's basketball team is going to be playing their first meaningful game in the state of South Dakota for the season.
St. Bonaventure Bonnies.
The St. Bonaventure Bonnies. That will be taking place at the Pentagon. So they're playing their annual Sioux Falls game down there on Tuesday. So make sure to stay tuned to all of our outlets to figure out what our schedules will be, because sometimes we don't know what our schedules will be.
We have no clue.
But make sure to keep updated on that. Follow all our social medias and stuff like that. But again, final 31-7. Your number 1 ranked South Dakota State Jackrabbits are the undisputed Missouri Valley Football Conference champions. From everyone here at KSDJ, I want to thank Brian Stemwedel, our advisor, Jim Helen, the other advisor for student media. I want to thank Matt Wieberdink back in the studio pushing on the 1s and 2s. For Dalton Cherry, I'm Braden Byers, saying so long. Hope you have a great night, a great rest of your weekend. Oh, my goodness. A great rest of your weekend.
Stay warm.
Stay warm as winter comes up. Enjoy some NFL football. Enjoy some more college football tonight.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll be right back at it on Monday right here on KSDJ with South Dakota State versus Mississippi State. From all of us here at KSDJ, have a good rest of your night. And as always, go Jacks.
I was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean when it happened. There was a sudden jolt, and our submarine crashed on the seafloor. We were in total darkness.
That's Dr. Dejana Figueroa, a marine biologist and STEM teacher, talking about a deep sea dive she'll never forget.
It's funny, when I was a kid, I was afraid of the ocean, and there I was, 2 miles below the surface. But as a scientist, you prepare for that. Using our training and a little creativity, we fixed the sub and finished our experiments. The dive was just too important. Every dive gives us glimpses at things few people ever get to see. Glowing creatures, fiery undersea